साई हमारे सत्य साई भगवान। शुभ स्वागतम शिव स्वागतम साई स्वागतम भगवान। शुभ स्वागतम शिव स्वागतम साई स्वागतम भगवान।
Om Shri Sai Ram. Offering our humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Respected elders and my dear brothers and sisters, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
You know, we all know we have gathered here on this holy day to celebrate Swami's 94th birthday. You know, in our life, if somebody wishes us happy birthday, our spontaneous response is thank you. Isn't it?
Right.
But you know, when we wish Swami, let's say we have an opportunity to wish Swami happy birthday, Swami, we'll just see what Swami's response would be.
Happy birthday అని అనేక వస్తుంటే చెప్పారు.
Many say happy birthday.
నాకు ఎప్పుడు కూడా హ్యాపీగానే ఉన్నాను, నాకెందుకు హ్యాపీ బర్త్డే చెప్పారు.
Bhagavan is always happy. Then why should you say happy? You be happy.
Happy means I'm happy.
Your happiness is Bhagavan.
You know what Swami is so loving? He says, your happiness is my happiness. We hardly find anybody, right? Somebody would say that, and only Swami could say that your happiness is my happiness. And now, how do we be happy? Swami has given us so many tools and techniques how to be happy inside, which is for sure is going to be permanent and nobody can steal that experience of being happy inside. And Swami has given like many tools, like for example 9-point code of conduct. By practicing that we develop that closeness to Swami, and then we'll become happy inside. And we have another tool Swami has given is a study circle at Satsang, where we grow internally. And of course the last one of the another important tool that Swami gave us, satsangs, or listening to Swami's glory. Many times he told his story is his glory, kind of thing. Today we have here brother Dr. Mayur Pandya as our chief guest here, who would narrate Swami's glory from his own eyes and experience, and that is kind of some lessons that he has picked up from Swami. Before I formally introduce the speaker, I want to read out a small interaction that Swami had with the students on the veranda. For benefit of just reading it as he's not making any errors there, I would like to read out the interaction that Swami had with the boys on the veranda. One day, when Swami asked the boys, what is the greatest good fortune one can have? After several answers from the boys, Swami gave his answer to the question. The greatest good fortune is to be born as a contemporary to the avatar. Even greater is to know the avatar. Even greater than that is to love the avatar. And even greater than that is to serve the avatar, serve in his mission. It is our fortune to be in Swami's mission, in Swami's organization, and attached ourselves to center, doing some seva or the other. That is the best seva that we could do, and that is the greatest fortune. Swami has told that is the best thing that we can do for ourselves. Now, it's my honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Mayur Pandya. Mayur is one of the senior most students of Swami, who joined Swami's college in Vrindavan under the purview of Bangalore University in the year 1978. I'm sure some of us are not born then. He is one of the very few students who received the great fortune of living with Swami within the premises of the old bungalow in Vrindavan, which was used by Swami before the construction of Trai Vrindavan. After completing his masters in commerce, Mayur was one of the few students who continued to stay with Swami during the transition of old Vrindavan to Tri Vrindavan. Mayur then moved to Prashantinilayam campus to do his PhD program, during which period he was truly an inspiration to a lot of the students in the hostel. He was an anchor to a lot of students who used to draw inspiration from him. Mayur had a very high standards for discipline, academics, elocution. Used to conduct a lot of elocution competitions and used to do a nice MC job with all the programs that were offered to Swami. His command in Hindi language to the level of writing poems and Hindi couplets, which were noteworthy, which Swami enjoyed during all his presentations. Mayur was also worked for Swamis irrespective of whether he worked for Swami inside the mandir or in the hostel or outside world, in bringing together students to make Swami happy. He would do anything that makes Swami happy. I think, Swami has told on this birthday message, your happiness is my happiness. So I think that's an opportunity for us to make every attempt to make him happy. His skills on dramatics, coupled with a sharp sense of delivery of dialogues, allowed him to play major dynamic roles during Swami's 60th birthday English drama directed by Swami himself. And it's titled Here and There. Followed by the holy Bhajagovindam drama during that year's celebrations. Swami felt so happy that he arranged for Mayur and team to travel to Bangalore and Mumbai for staging the same drama. Swami was also proud of Mayur and blessed him with wealth of experiences, be it in a small room in his abode or his garden. Now let us listen to his wealth of experience that he is here to share with us. So the talk would be like two parts. I will let Mayur go over the program, how and what he's going to share before lunch and after lunch. And I would like to welcome Brother Mayur to come forward.
I don't have my notes. Om Shri Sai Ram. Offering our collective pranams, love, and gratitude to Bhagwan. Beloved Bhagwan, revered elders, dear brothers and sisters and children, a most loving Sai Ram to all of you. Sai Ram. Brother Sai Shravan, Brother Kumar, thank you for arranging this and inviting me over to the center. It was very unique after Bhagwan's Mahasamadhi in 2011. It was an emotional period for all of us. And I decided I don't want to speak anymore. I just want to go inside. And that Swami that I was attached to physically, I wanted to find him inside and everywhere. So I stopped going to talks and retreats. And then this few months ago, me and my better half, Anu, we were talking and she asked me very casually, so why don't you speak again? I said, no, it's okay, Swami's will. The next morning, Brother Kumar calls. Can you come and speak in the Bethesda Sai Center? I said, okay, this is Swami's will. So I immediately jumped to the chance, and the reason was that in the past, whenever I shared the stories or the anecdotes, I relived them and I enjoyed them so much, so I wouldn't let this chance go. It's thrilling to be with all of you, to see the Sai family in action, doing the altar, the chair, everything. It's one way of expressing our love. Bhajans is another one. And just sharing satsang. The Sai Bhagavatam is a huge, enormous epic. The Bhagavad Vahini is nothing, it's small, just a few characters and their stories. But here every one of us can write a whole Bhagavatam. And I hope to share my Bhagavatam with you today. I've divided the talk into two parts. The first one is called In the Sunshine of Sai's Love, where just sweet nothings. I have a bunch of photographs that show you, and as I look at the photographs, I remember something, anecdotes, I share those. And then the second half, I thought, well, it's not just enough to remember Swami. There is a reason why he came onto the earth to teach us something. So some life lessons that I learned firsthand from him, I thought I will recount them, all of those, articulate them, so that maybe there is something that all of us take away from it. But it's my perspective, and so please bear in that. As I show you these pictures, my fervent hope is that you focus on Swami and not on me. I'm not trying to show off my pictures. The focus is that Swami's love for us was so much, and that is the thing that I would like to convey through the talk today. Coming to Bhagwan's lotus feet. It was 1978, and whole family were devotees, except me. I was the black sheep. And my mother used to tell me, why don't you also join the Sai fold? And I said, would walk up to the wall where Swami's picture was hanging. I would flip it around, facing the wall. And I'd say, if Swami is God, let him turn the picture around, then I'll believe. And she would shake her head and said, this guy's a write-off, so don't bother. And it so happened in 1978, a neighbor, his son was had just graduated from school, and he wanted to go to Vrindavan to have darshan. So he said, why don't you go with him to chaperone him because he was a minor? I said, sure, you go for darshan, I'll go sightseeing in Bangalore. And it happened to be this April 1978. As we landed in Vrindavan, we found that Swami had left with a small group of students to Mudumalai forest because it was Shivaratri, 1978. So we hung around Bangalore for a few days, and when we came back, we got news that Swami had come back, so we went to Vrindavan, and that's when we had the first, this kind of a view there. And Swami came out and gave darshan, and nothing happened. I was sitting in the sands with the devotees. Swami passed by and intently looked into my eyes, and I think that was the turning point, because something changed where I suddenly felt excited about meeting him, seeing him, being close to him, etc. That was the first darshan with Swami. And then the surroundings around Vrindavan were very, very beautiful and pristine. Nothing like it was today. Lots of, just the two, Beltur village, Kaduguri village, and those were the times we had that proximity with Swami. And during that time, it so happened that first 3 weeks of my joining the college, Swami did not come to Vrindavan. To go back a little bit, my brother, Mayur Pandya, who used to regularly go to Puttaparthi, he was fascinated by seeing these students like this in white and white coming out. So he said, Mayur, you also have to join the college. I didn't think much of it because I was in a college which was famous more for fashion shows than academics in Mumbai. And I enjoyed my life there, the popularity, the fast teenage life. So there was no incentive to go there. But it so happened that either he filled out the form or I filled out the form, I don't know, but one of us did. And then one fine day on a Thursday morning, I got a telegram from the college saying, come immediately for your interview. I don't know what happened, but I just picked up a duffel bag. I did not own any white clothes, so I bought 2 white kurta pajamas, dumped it in the bag, and sat unreserved in the train and left. I remember Dad, being a lawyer, he was putting on his tie, going to the office. I said, Dad, I'm going to Swami's college. He said, okay, and he left for office. he was also in some stupor. I was also on a roller coaster because little did we all know that I would be gone for 12 years. And so that's how Swami took over the life. And as I reached there, joined the college, it was very interesting. And then 3 weeks into the joining college, Swami had yet not come from Puttaparthi to Vrindavan. I remember one day, in the morning I had finished getting ready and I was going back to my room. Suddenly the whole hostel shook like an earthquake was happening, thunderous roar. And I saw all the students running out of their rooms, and there were 3 flights of steps and they were all going crazy. And I panicked. I had no clue about what was happening. So since everybody ran, even I ran. And as I ran out of the thing, and I realized that it was a clue for the students that when they hear a certain honk of a car, the horn of a car, it means Swami is coming. So as we ran inside, then Swami came and the car pulled out in the portico, and then Swami would open the door and climb up on top, and then he would look at all of us, Manjali, horses, very, very happy, and he used to joke this way. So this was the typical scene of that first close darshan with Swami. And this was also the very similar darshan every time Swami left for Parthi or came back, and he would like to interact with the students this way. This was the old mandir, and it was the bungalow at that time. The origins of the bungalow is that it was owned by a British person. His name was Gogi Naini. He was a stud farm owner, and the whole place, Vrindavan, was a stud farm actually, where the horses were maintained by this British person. And that was converted into this mandir. And I have wonderful memories here. As you can see, there's the portico where Swami's car would pull up. There was an interview room. Upstairs is Swami's quarters. And that window on the top there, which you can see, has wonderful memories, because every time we stood around and I was doing some gardening there, Swami would occasionally, and of course a few bunch of students always stood there, and so Swami would give darshan on all sides of the mandir. We had not darshan once or twice a day. Throughout the day, at any time, we would get a darshan. So that was one of the things. I would stand there, and the cue for all of us was that if Swami comes to the window, all the students go up and do that. So we know, Swami's come. So all will come running either from the front of the bungalow to the side, gather together, and that was the clue that Swami's come there. After a few days, weeks, I want an ekanta darshan, meaning that only I should get the darshan, nobody else should get the darshan, because you want Swami all for yourself. So I remember I was working near that coconut tree there, and suddenly I felt like turning around, looking up, I saw Swami in the window. Now, if I put my hands up this way, that's the cue for everybody to come. So I didn't put my hands up. I'm looking at Swami like this. I looked around, nobody's watching me. Then I'm telling Swami, wait. And I quietly walked out. And if you can see the small gate on the side, where the wall is, on the left, I went through that. I hid behind the wall. So I could see Swami could see me, but none of the students could see me. And I went on looking at Swami like this, and believe it or not, Swami's curtain was open, and he kept staring at me as it was like eternity, And that connection is a very, very beautiful experience I had. Of course, never did any gardening in Mumbai, but during that time we started a small group of students doing the mandir garden, the hostel garden, and we started a botanical garden in the college. So the gardening became a kind of a conduit or a tool to connect with Swami in Buddhism. Every time Swami would come out of the interview room and pass by, he would have some interaction with students. In this case, I remember 2-3 times where once he came and he said, "Hey Mayur, how is your garden?" So I would explain, "Swami, I did my gardening, I did remove the weeds, I planted this, we watered it 4 times." He'd give a long report. Swami would patiently listen, and after that he would say, "How is your garden?" What did I miss? I just explained the whole thing, And he would walk away. Then after kind of thinking a few times, I would say, "Oh, that's what Swami meant." So when he comes next time, he asks me, "How is your garden?" I would say, "Swami, I've watered the garden of my heart. I've removed the weeds of bad thoughts." All those things, I would give that explanation. Manjali. And he would hit my hand and he would walk away. Next time he came around and he said, "How's your father?" And I said, "Swami, he's a lawyer, he's in Mumbai, he's coming for Dasera," and all that long explanation I gave. how is your father? And I'm saying, okay, what did I miss? But this time I connected with that garden thing. So I said, Swami, you're my father. Stunt, rush, stunt. But come to think of it today, it was the birth of educare. Swami could easily give me the answers, but he would ask the question repeatedly till I introspected and came out with the answer. And that is what the whole Bal-Vikas movement is all about right now. He's been practicing it for long, but since he probably didn't go into our thick skulls, so he gave it a term, educare, and now we understand it a lot better. So that was the thing, and of course lots of other interactions here too. And these are some few snapshots of the botanical garden, how he would come and he would inaugurate the botanical garden. He would water the tulsi plant the first time we planted it. And every time the rose, he would go and plant the seeds. He would put the seeds in the beds that were ready. And then a rose plant, the first rose that comes out, he would cut it and take it to Swami, and Swami would say, oh, first rose, and then he would take it. It was nice. Occasionally, as he's taking the rose, he'd pinch the finger. And that was a small little interaction with Swami. The other part was regarding the routine of Vrindavan was the Nagar Sankirtan Darshans. And these were a wonderful, wonderful time. Every Thursday morning and Sunday morning, we would have Nagar Sankirtan when Swami was in the hostel, and sometimes when he was not there too. And these are pictures of that where one group of devotees from the Beltur village would come, another group would start from Kadugudi village, and then us students would, after Suprabhatam in the morning, we would get up and it was very cold sometimes, so all of us are wrapped in blankets. And then we would walk singing bhajans, sometimes going all the way to the village and back. And when we come back, then Swami appears here on top like this, and all of us sing a whole bhajan. And mind you, this is the one time when Swami stood for the whole aarti. And the full aarti, the bhajan is over, the full aarti is over, then he would bless us all like this. And as he gets down the steps and he walks around the mandir, all of us are going this way, throughout, like, the whole group. So all of us tripping over pots and falling into ditches, but we're all looking up there and going around. And that was again a beautiful, beautiful time in the mornings. This is the view of the mandir from the front. There was a beautiful pond, a Krishna statue, and then Swami's bungalow there. And as you can see, lots of wonderful trees and a zoo behind full of deer, peacocks, birds, rabbits, you name it. And it was like really Vrindavan actually, because Swami is there up there, Krishna is there, Krishna's statue is there, the zoo is there with all the animals, and it's kind of almost like Swami had simulated the Vrindavan of old times. This was the statue of Krishna from the front. And this is the mandir. And this mandir portico was not coming? Okay. So the portico is one place where I had wonderful memories. Swami showed his omnipresence for the first time there when, we had a rule that we could not leave the premises of Vrindavan without permission. And we obviously needed to go to the post office in Kadugudi village to pick up some mail, etc. So one of the days I wanted to go there in the afternoon, and I found that none of the lecturers were available to ask permission. So I found a loophole in the law, and I said, let me go finish the job and come back and inform them. So I complied with that whole thing. So as I was walking past those steps in the front of this portico, towards the right-hand side, as I reached there, I suddenly looked up and I noticed Swami was standing in the balcony on top. And he had his eyes big, wide open, and he's doing this to me. And I froze in terror. I'm looking up at Swami like this, and Swami is saying, so he kind of caught me saying that I know you were going out without permission, but you saw the terror in my face, so he just diffused the situation. So that was a very beautiful trip. At another time, Swami, what happened was we had flowers and things. So every time Swami left for Puttaparthi of Vrindavan, I took a rose. I would run 2 miles out from Vrindavan, cut a rose from the hostel from one of the gardens, and at that 2-mile mark, I would stand with the rose. Because if I was in this portico, there were 300 students around Swami's car, and I wouldn't get that chance to tell Swami personally bye. I want to tell Swami bye myself. Nobody should be in the middle. So To do that, what I did was took the rose and I ran 2 miles down the road. And as I stood there, Swami's car passed by and Swami stopped the car and put the window down. And he not only took the rose from me, he gave me an apple. So that was a fantastic chance. But then somebody saw it. Another student saw it. So the next time Swami was going, all the roses disappeared from all the gardens. At every 100 meters, there was a student with a rose outside. Of course, Swami can't stop for everybody. He did a few people, but that was the thing. So it so happened that one of the days, a few months down, one of the students who was in the garden with me, I told him, look, there's a rumor that Swami is going, and I think we should go and grab the rose before it disappears. So I told him, you go to the garden, pick 2 roses, go to the 2 mile mark and wait for me. If Swami's car comes to the portico, I'll come and run and join you. If it doesn't come, I'll come and get you back. So that was the arrangement with him. So he ran there, Pochap, he was waiting there. And as I was standing there, suddenly one of the students who was on staircase duty, we call staircase duty because he's the person in contact with Swami up there. So that student comes to me and he says, hey, Swami said, go pack your bag. He's taking you with him to Puttaparthi. So I run, I pack the bag, and there's a matador, a big van in the back of park. I put my, yes, another student also has been told that. And as Swami leaves, we are going by, and that student is waiting at the 2 mile mark with the rose.
Oh my goodness.
And instead of me joining him, I'm waving out from the van. And he's wondering with his eyes open, you were supposed to be next to me, you're going in the van. Anyway, that was a beautiful time because it was my 3rd year BCom. The 2 of us, Swami took to Puttaparthi, and those 3 days that we were there, morning, evening interviews. Every morning after the interview and the bhajan is over, Swami would take us both in the car. He showed us the primary school personally, the new hostel, new college, everything. And one of the days it happened that day, it was I think Yugali time, and you know how the Lombardis, the gypsy ladies, they on the road, this is the time for them to earn money. So they saw Swami's car coming and they surrounded Swami's car. It so happened that that day, the regular driver, the student who drives Swami's car, Radhakrishna, was not there, and somebody else was there. Now, car is surrounded, Swami is sitting there, one other student, and I am sitting in the back seat, 3 of us there, and suddenly Swami has no money to give them, and they are all surrounded. So I take out some 20 rupees from my pocket and give it to Swami, offer to Swami. Swami takes it and gives it to the Lombardis. And so we go ahead, continue. When we come back to the mandir afterwards, there's bhajans going on in the evening. And the bhajan has started, Swami comes out of the interview room, sits on the chair, and then after a couple of bhajans, he comes down, goes inside the interview room, and I'm sitting exactly in that interview room facing at the back door. So Swami walks up to me, and the bhajan is very loud because the speaker is there. Swami bends down, I'm up on my knees, and Swami's hair is touching my face like this. And Swami says, you gave me 20 rupees in the morning, here is 50 rupees, 30 rupees commission. And he puts that 30 rupees in, 50 rupees in my pocket. So that was a very, very beautiful thing. And of course, when we were there, both of us, one of the interviews he gave, he created 2 watches for it, identical for us. That one. It was a Seiko, at that time it was the latest one, so exact identical ones he too created, put it on both our arms. And then just as we were leaving, he took it out from my hand and he said, Swiss time, change Lara. Change the time and he put it back. So that was a very, very good interaction. Of course, here there were other interactions too, like for example, there was a gentleman called, devotee called S.N. Singh. Mr. Singh was very devoted, but he had this learned Telugu in 30 days in his hand every day. And Swami would love calling him in that portico there and talking to him and asking him questions in Telugu. And he would say, and he would try to reply in Telugu, but no. Then he said, yes. And he had a typical attire. He had a Nehru cap and the same material Nehru cap and a safari. And he had lots of such outfits. So every time he came in a new outfit, which was exactly that. So Swami would look at him and say, hey, sensing, kitne jan ko topi pehnaya aaj? How many people did you con today? that kind of a thing. And you can imagine Mr. V.K. Narasimhan, the Deccan Herald, editor. He's standing on the top of those steps and looking between the first and second pillar with the camera because he couldn't take pictures. And Swami came out and said, "Hey, film unda?" And he says, "Undi, Swami," and he jumps from up. And Swami is like, "Oh my God, I didn't expect you to do that." But these are some small interactions every day happening where, Swami comes to the portico. This was also the point where we all stood there, those three windows on top. The middle one is Swami's bedroom. The right hand was a room which had a jula. And the left hand was where Swami's wardrobe and, the changing room was, what you call it. So those are the three rooms, and we would always stand in the early morning, around 6 o'clock, 6:30, right after Suprabhatam is over, we would stand there for darshan. And invariably, we would wait for that small little curtain to open and see Swami's red robe. And Swami would also play with us that sometimes in the morning he would give darshan there, and then when he drops the curtain, the cue is that all of us have to go to the side of the building, because where this window is. Now the thing is that we all wait here, and then Swami would give darshan again on that other window. So we would run back to that window. By the time some of us reached there, he would have shut the thing and he would come to this one. And he would keep making us go back and forth, and when we reached like this, he would say, horses again. And then this was the window from where he interacted with the students or with the devotees, where sometimes he made fun of them, sometimes he scolded people, and all kinds of stuff happened. And this was the routine every morning. You can imagine getting darshan in the front window, side window, when he's going for his lunch, when he's coming back from his breakfast. Like 6 or 7, 8 times in a day, we get darshan like this. And then, of course, when he finishes the thing and he's just about to go out to the devotees, he would come to these two windows, and this is where he would have lots of interactions. He would talk to us. He would sometimes give a mini discourse, and he would also give directions to the warden, to the hospital, to the principal, etc. Sometimes he would stand there and he'd joke. You see in the left picture, he has a small little flower. So all of us, many of us, what we would do is that we would run, and there was creepers all over Vrindavan, and we would go and find these fragrant green flowers, extremely, even better than jasmine. We would cut those and we would keep it in our hands so that when Swami comes, he could go offer, and Swami would take it and play with it. Sometimes he would give it back to the person, so that was an interaction there. And of course, you can see Swami cheerfully. This was the interview room. Swami would again play truant with us here, because when we are standing outside, he would either come from the front door where I showed you, or from the side door here in the interview room. And the interview room had a small little dressing table where Swami would make sure he would become prim and proper and then come out for the darshan. And so this is the interview room here, the first interview room in Vrindavan. And again, lots and lots of memories here. I remember one time when, in the first year itself, we are all standing just before going to college. We would stand outside the bungalow here, like the interview room, and Swami would give darshan, finish back, and then we would all leave for college at 9 o'clock. I was standing there one day, and then one of the students came and said, Swami said, "Today don't go to college." And that's the best instructions you can get from Swami, easy to follow, because don't go to college. Wow! So I melted behind the trees and hid in the background. And I noticed another boy also behind one of the trees. So I said, okay, these are two of us have been called by Swami for the interview. And so Swami told all of Chalo, Pondi, everybody go away to college quickly. There was a lot of time to go for college still to start, but he sent everybody off early. Then he went out and brought a whole group of devotees for interview. In that group of devotees was Pedabotu. And as you know, Pedabotu is our Shirdi Amma, who has seen Shirdi Baba. And so she's wheeled in, and there are some other overseas devotees, and of course a few devotees from South Africa also. And they're all wheeled into this interview room here. And as we were wheeled into the interview room, I was sitting on the right hand side where the handkerchiefs were. The other student was sitting on that side. And when everybody settled down, Swami said, "Ha, kya samachar?" And then he started asking me questions, spiritual questions. And every single answer that a question that Swami asked, 6 or 7 of them, I would give the wrong answer. And for every wrong answer, Swami said, "Tunna bota, not that way." And then he would give the correct answer. And this happened several times when one old lady in the back, she said, Swami, Swami, beat me also like this. Swami said, Tumhara husband mere ko marega. And in the meantime, Sathya was on the right hand side on the wheelchair, and she's saying, Ma Krishnudu, Ma Devudu, and she's treating Swami like a kid, So she treats Swami like a small child. So she's going on like this, and Swami is also joking, Chudu Rash, husband is dead long back, but she wants to get married again. That's why Peddabotu she's put again, she wants to get married again. And they were both joking, very nice to see the interaction between Peddabotu and Swami. And then after a long discourse, Swami started taking devotees to the inside room for the private interviews. This was the private interview room inside, just there, as you can see on the right hand side door. And as the first group went in and the door closed, Peddabotu, like conspiracy theory, she's going back, shh, come here, all of you come here, I want to tell you something. Says in Shirdi Baba used to take stones and throw outside at his devotees. But be careful of this Baba, he smiles outside, he throws stones inside. And that was a very beautiful analogy, an understanding of a devotee long-standing, that how Swami tests, although he is, so that was one experience. Of course, when my turn came to go inside, Swami said, look, it's 1979 now, the Shivaratri is coming, I'm going to take you to Mudumalai forest, don't tell anybody. And that was the hardest thing, because already the previous year, Swami had taken a whole bunch of students very quietly in the middle of the night. And so everybody is expecting that next year Swami is going to do the same thing. And everybody knows that 2 students were given an interview just before the Shivaratri. Now those 2 students are supposed to keep quiet and not tell everybody. So you can imagine the next 1 week or so was very crucial, because I have to keep a straight face, I can't pack my bag, I can't do anything, because I'm supposed to not tell anybody. Anyway, it was an open secret. The other experience here in this room was when, I was standing in the safe room one day, and I'll explain what a safe room is. And then suddenly Swami asked, hey, parents kidhar hai? I said, Swami, father is in India, in Mumbai, but brother and mother have suddenly come. And they had just, before the bhajans, they had just come and said, you know what, we felt like coming, so we came. Unannounced, and they just unreserved. So, and here Swami is asking me about them. So I said, Swami, they're outside, the brother and mother. Call them in, call them in. So we are in this room, called inside, and just before bhajans are about to start. And I kneel down because I didn't want to look at Swami. So, and then as I was kneeling down, I felt like putting my arms around Swami's waist. So I put my hand, I'm looking at Swami like this. And brother is there, so Swami's scolding brother. Friends, this, that, all those. He told him to cut those down. And then mother had some few questions. And I said, Swami, parents ko moksha to. Jarur deta hai, jarur deta hai. And the point was to extend the interview by asking more questions so that it doesn't abruptly end. So I asked, Swami, give me a vision of Krishna. Swami said, this is Krishna, why you want vision? And that's how we explained. So, but finally the interview did get over, unfortunately. And then, so there's 3 experiences there. This is the inside private room where Swami would give interviews to governors, and B.D. Jatti came, vice president, and all those people came. So Swami would give interviews in that. I remember having at least one chance where Mr. S.N. Singh was there. We were both sitting at Swami's feet, and almost 15-20 minutes had a chance to do Pad Seva, and that was a very nice experience. There's a round table next to that, coffee table, and one of the devotees, when he was getting the interview and he was taking namaskar, I believe he broke the table, the glass. So he was very kind of remorseful, and he said, Swami, sorry, I'll get it fixed. Swami said, don't worry, no, it's all okay. So we had cleaned up that glass and all that. And then comes the safe room. I'll continue that story here, but this was called the safe room because you can't see, but directly opposite Swami's chair, on the right hand side, there was a huge safe, which was probably built in the British times. And the safe was put inside first, and then the bungalow was built, because there's no way to take it through the doors. So that's why we all gave it the name safe room. And lots of memories here. So going with that same story, Mr. Balram, who was a old devotee from Bangalore, Swami had asked him to get the table fixed. And so the table was fixed, and Now, Mr. Balram is standing right near where that corner black stand is, and Swami is sitting on the divan. And Swami is asking him, so how much did you spend for the table, the glass on the table? And Swami said, no, Swami, I don't want anything. Chapura. And he said, Swami, 1,000 rupees. Swami had just come back from the Sairam shed, and he had about 100, 200 letters in a tray next to it. That's where they would keep it. He took that whole tray in his lap, and with 2 fingers he went through all the letters like this, which are closed. He picks one letter out, and then he opens it, and exactly 10 bills of 100 rupees, 1,000 rupees he gives to Bhagavan. Please go. And all of us are... And at another time Swami mentioned that I take the letters from you only for your satisfaction. I already know it. I mean, Kumar remembers that there are students who put a letter in the pocket and they go sit for bhajan, and Swami would say, parents aaya hai, baar jaake Mahamangal Aarti karo. Because they are asking for interview, obviously, but Swami would joke, Mahamangal Aarti karo. So that was one other thing. Another time, a devotee gave a box of almonds, badams, and he offered it kaju and badam to Swami. So Swami is sitting on the chair, imagine, and he's looking into the thing and he says, Abba, too fattening, I can't have this. And then he said, Ye Gujarati ko deo, and he's pointing to me. And I'm shocked because there are so many of us in the room and he's pointing to me. And then Swami took one almond from that and he bit it half. And he told me, here Mayur, take. And that was like, fantastic because who expects Swami to do that, right? And I was shocked, so I didn't move. And then Swami said, oh, because I put it in my mouth, you don't want it? I said, no, Swami. I grabbed it from his hand and I put it in my mouth. So that's Swami telling me that you're part of me. Very nice thing. And of course, some weeks, months later, I used to get a lot of headaches. And it was diagnosed as low BP. Maybe I was working too much in the garden and not eating enough. Rasam sambar was not cutting it. So it was low BP and getting headaches. So I wrote a letter to Swami. At that time I used to write regularly. Every small thought comes in my mind, write to Swami. So I wrote to Swami about low BP. He, after the interview was over and he was retiring to his room, he said, hey, Mayur, come. So we went up the steps to his dining room, and throughout he's holding my hand, taking me to the dining room. Then he says, Vishnu Bhatt, the cook, we give a big packet of almonds. And then he gives that almonds and he says, here, take the almonds, take 4 every day, your low BP will be fine. So that's another almond connection. The same room again, Swami was giving a discourse and he shows his Leela suddenly. So he was giving a discourse. And there was one very frail boy, student who was standing there. And the discourse went on for about an hour and a half. And as it's going on, this guy suddenly, and he's knocked out, fainted on the floor. Swami gets up from the chair and he just touches him. And you know how you give those defibrillators to somebody, you get a shock? That boy suddenly jumped up. Swami said, see, divine power. And we were all shocked because it was really the fainted guy, limp, absolutely unconscious, and suddenly he comes awake. Then Swami, to cover up the divine thing, he'll say, so what was my last sentence I said in the discourse? And all of us are thinking, what was the last sentence? And marginalize that miracle that he did. So that was another one. Right from, except for my first year, from the May of 1979, Swami took a whole bunch of students, senior students, to Kashmir. And at that time he picked about 6 or 7 of us to sleep in the mandir for security purpose. So all my 5 years in Vrindavan, I slept in the mandir. And I used to sleep in the room next to the safe room, which was a small little foyer. And I remember one night sleeping there, and I was looking up and seeing Swami's bedroom is like right above me. So Swami's bed also is up there, and just the ceiling separating. And so that was my thrill, that I could sleep right under where Swami Bhagwan sleeping. Mr. Rama Brahmam, who's a very old devotee, his bedroom happened to be the very next bedroom next to the safe room. So, and he was not really feeling very well. He was already a senior citizen. So when he was sleeping the next morning when I got up, he called out some of us who were in the security and said, look, do you know what happened? So in the night I got up and I wanted to go to the washroom. I went to the washroom and I fell down in the washroom. And Swami at that time was in Ooty. So Swami came here, he picked me up, put me in the bed, and he was sitting with me. Just now he left. And all the while we are in La La Land next door. So you can imagine that was an eye-opener that, Swami Ram Raman Garu had box files full of letters. Because he had been from the time when, even before Swami moved into this mandir, he used to live in Whitefield village, where the Joy Ice Cream Factory, I don't know if you all know about it, but it's Joy Ice Cream Factory, that's where Swami used to live, and then finally he moved to this place. So again, this room got lots and lots of memories. One more thing was when Swami came here and he sat, he would eat pan. So in the pan box, he would have the elaichi. So when he would elaichi and cloves, he would buy. So elaichi, the shell, he would leave it on the bench. And all of us, moment Swami left, we would run and grab that shell and put it in our mouth. Because that was our way of interacting. This is the main foyer of the mandir, where Swami would sit and give, he would sit for bhajans. That is that small room on the left next to the red chair where I was explaining where I was sleeping. The door on the far end is the door where Swami would go up to his quarters after he finished. And the picture and the main door on the right is where Swami would come out of the mandir. And I showed you those two pictures where Swami is standing and giving talks. So that's the whole thing. I remember I was sleeping, we used to sleep here also occasionally, and one of the senior lecturers, I shouldn't mention him by name, but you all know him. He was also sleeping with us there for security, and so we were talking at that night, a little bit of satsang before sleeping. I told him, sir, I've read Man of Miracles and everything, and where Raja Reddy who was so close to Swami, and he must have thought that he's going to be with Swami forever. And then events happened where Raja Reddy is now moved back to Mumbai, he's married, and another set of people have come. Does that mean that in the future even we'll be gone and some other students will come? And that was just the conversation that was happening. And then we retired for the night, and a few days later, Swami was taking individual pictures with all the new students. So we were all, there was about 300 of us around, and one by one we were going to Swami. And when my turn came, he took the picture, and then he said, Swami looked on the left-hand side and said, hey Mayur, see, students are coming and students are going. Swami is always there, saying. So it's almost like these are the small little anecdotes which convinced me that whatever you speak, you think, everything Swami is aware. He will choose to let you know that he knows, or he may not, but he's everything, nothing is hidden from him. And that was the memory of this picture. I remember Swami sitting on this thing, and these two chairs, one incident happened in 3rd BCom. I was studying for my final year exam. And as I was sitting in the hostel in the window reading, I suddenly saw some students running to the mandir. We need the slightest excuse not to study. So we thought, presume Swami is there. So I also ran down. And as I came running, panting to this place, Swami was in the main door. Swami was sitting on this chair. And Swami looked at me and he says, hey Mayur, kya karta hai? I said, Swami, be calm. Swami said, first be calm, then be calm. And then he says, now you do MRS. I said, what is it? Mrs. Ra, get married. Moment he said that, I burst into tears. So the thought of leaving was not a correct thing for me. So next to him, Dr. Benito Reyes from Ohio University was sitting, the old devotee. So Swami asked him, hey, why is he crying? Swami, he's done something very bad and you caught him. He says, no, Ra, he cannot imagine leaving Swami's presence. That's why he's crying. And I asked him just now to go back to his parents and all that. So then, because I was crying, Swami took that handkerchief, which he usually uses for me. He called me, Tamasha Ra, you didn't understand, I'm just joking with you, And he gave me that handkerchief, go wipe your tears. So that handkerchief was still with me, wiped my tears, and I went away. After that, Swami never joked with me. He made sure that this guy is radioactive, you better handle it. So that was the other thing. I can explain also, because the picture is there, that small little footstool. What we would do is that when we had the chance to go for bhajans every evening, mind you, 3:30 the class gets over, we are belting it from the college, Whitefield College, to this mandir, because if it is our turn for our class, we would take a notebook and we leave it outside the door, and we leave all the notebooks as to mark a spot before we going for tea. And moment Swami calls us in the evening inside, whoever stands in the line, the first 3 or 4 or 5 students, we would get to sit at the feet. And the first boy would take the stool and put it in the lap. So when Swami comes and sits down, we will put the footrest down, Swami will lift his feet up and put it down on the footrest. And for the next 1.5 hours, we get to do Pad Seva. So that Pad Seva chance was so important that we really tried our best to not miss that chance. This is our evening bhajan there, that's happening every evening. And of course, you know, you heard of the Rama Katha, the Sai Katha, all were born in this place. Rupak and Kote, Hirok, all of them were the common singers there, and they were the Rupak Sharma also. And so we have wonderful sessions here. But again, this was a small little foyer, so maybe 100 students fit in it. All the others were outside in the windows. Some of us were, this was one chance I got to sit, and I had a small Instamatic, and I put it in Swami's face and I clicked, and the flash went like this. And I got scolded by some of the senior students, never do that again, you know, you're not supposed to do it. But who cares, I got a picture for eternity now, right? So this was the typical Swami playing the talam, Swami singing, sometimes Swami asking the students to sing and he would join. Wonderful, wonderful memories, whoever has seen this firsthand. On many occasions, we would not get a chance to sit outside, so we would be in this small stairwell which Swami goes up. And this was also precious because although we cannot see Swami throughout the bhajan, this is the way up. Although we cannot see Swami throughout the bhajans, the interaction at the last minute before he goes up was very close up. So that was what was precious for us. And I remember we used to regularly invite Swami to the hostel for dinner because that interaction was also very nice. And so when Swami is going up, he would say, Swami, dinner, 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 loudly, and it's a small room. So it would be echoing very loud, and Swami would say, Normusko, tunna pota. So that's the picture. And then we would continue and he would say, still closing his thing. And then finally when he realizes we're not going to give up, he says, I'll definitely come. And then of course the whole planning starts about the Jula. I'll show you a couple of Jula pictures. But this is our typical interaction where we would get Swami. This is after Swami goes up, he sits on that divan upstairs. And again a wonderful memory here because if you remember, I mentioned that I was sleeping downstairs and Rama Brahman Garu was in the other room. I used to hear, because he had a prostate problem, he used to moan with pain in the middle of the night. And that was something that I felt pity for him and empathy because here is a devotee who is in the mandir where Swami is sleeping upstairs, he is downstairs moaning. I said, Swami, what is this? You are going out of the world, remote places to save devotees. And here your own devotee is sitting there in the same bungalow and you're not doing anything for him. Just a thought passed in my mind, I'm feeling bad for him. A few weeks or a few days later, one of the students on staircase duty calls me and he says, hey, Swami is calling you upstairs, go. So I go up when Swami is sitting here like this and I bend down and Swami says, look, I'm sending Rama Brahmam to Bangalore for a checkup to the doctor. I want you to go with him. So I'm surprised because they're all senior students, the warden, anybody could have been sent, but Swami picked me. So I said, sure, Swami. And I go in the ambassador. Rama Brahman Garu is sitting in the front and I'm in the back, I'm sitting in the front. And there are lots of incidents that happen in the car. I will spare you the details. And when we get the checkup and I can make out that when the doctor is examining, Ram Brahman Garu is very, very nervous and he's asking questions and he's pushing him away and all that, that kind of demeanor he had. And so when we come back in the evening, the gates are closed. The railway gates are closed, so the car is waiting on the other side. And I badly wanted to go rush to tell Swami whatever happened before he retires. So I run across and while the car is waiting on the other side, as I reach there, that same student who had told me the message before, he said, go up, Swami is waiting just for you. So I run up and Swami is sitting there and I bend down and I say, Swami, we've just come back, he's coming into it. So Swami asked all details, like exactly what happened in the car out there and on the way back to. and what the doctor said, etc. All that I asked, then Swami said, namaskaram. Do namaskar. So I bent down. As I'm going to touch Swami's feet like this, Swami quickly lifts his feet up. So my hands land on that green cushion. And Swami's feet land on my hands. So right now, instead of doing namaskar on Swami's feet, my hands are on the cushion and Swami's feet are on my hand. And I'm doing namaskar and Swami's robe is covered, so nobody can see. There's a whole bunch of students and lecturers who are standing there. I'm there. And I'm stuck. I can't do anything. I'm just going on taking namaskar. Swami said, telling the water, hey, he's gone to sleep. But he continuously went on pressing with his feet on my hands. And that lasted like an eternity. And finally, Swami picked his feet up and let me go. But when I thought about it, says maybe just one empathetic thought for somebody, and Swami, it registered with Swami, and Swami chose out of all the senior students, a junior, just a brand new guy, joined the hostel, sending me with Ram Brahma Garu. So he's even that bhavan that you have for somebody else, and you see Swami, he reciprocates. And by the way, when the mandir was broken down, that green cushion is what I got, and I have with me in Vancouver. This is the one. This is Swami outside his bedroom. When he is retiring or when he is coming out in the morning, he would stand there, talk, and some of us got a chance to do the toranam on all the doors. So there used to be mango trees outside. We would cut leaves and then put the toranam on that. This is a picture of how Swami used to call the batches before my batch. I have not had this privilege, but at that time there was hardly a hostel. The whole hostel building was not there, and they used to live in a small shed. And so Swami would call the students up like this, and he would sit on the steps outside. That was Swami's dining room. He would sit with the students there, and they would have the privilege of having dinner and lunch with Swami. This is Swami with a robe. But that was not him normally wearing it. It was just some devotee had given it, he wore it and blessed them and gave it back. And then there was this, the cage in the back, you can see the birds? Yeah. So Swami had lots of budgies, about 100 of them, small little what we call lovebirds, budgies, and they were all over there, and so Swami used to take pictures of this. I know Swami did not have a social media account, but definitely had a Twitter account. Divine Twitter account, only he knows, understands. So he was well ahead of his time. And of course, this is Swami's pet dog Goldie. And he had wonderful, 2 years he was there, but he had a wonderful attention from Swami. On that picture on the right hand side, wow. Swami is telling him to pose, look at the camera, pose. He wanted him to look, and whenever he was next to Swami, nobody else could come near Swami. Like you can't take namaskar or he'll growl. He's on that green cushion. But he enjoyed all the proximity, and I have a special affection for him because he bit me. On another occasion. So that's why he has fond memories of him. Here he is sitting on Swami's dining table, and Swami used to feed him also. He had some liver problem and he passed away, but look at the amount of it. What good fortune or what good karma, past birth, I would do anything to find out what he was in the past birth that he got this chance. This is Swami giving, all the students would wait for the birthdays. Some of them, we always preponed or postponed our birthdays depending on when Swami was there. I won't say that we all were honest and we didn't have multiple birthdays, but at least one was there. But the occasion was to take a tray full of cloves and badam and everything and go to Swami like this. I had the chance to offer it, and then Swami would eat a little bit, and then he would take something and give it to you in your hand, and so that was this. I also remember a time when 1980, it was birthday, May 5th, so I wrote a letter to Swami, and then Swami was came back from outside Sai Ram Shed Darshan, and he said, "Hey, Mayur, birthday?" And he says, "Take, just go." And nothing came out. And then the second time, a plum came out. So I took that plum, I ate it, And then I still have the seed with me. Somebody said, plant it. I said, no, where will I take a tree, because the customs won't allow farm products to cross the border, but seed I can keep. So I have the seed with me still. That's one of the mementos. This is Swami having a pan in Kashmir. But the reason why I wanted to show it is because when we were with Swami in Rajmata's house, we used to prepare Swami's pan box. So there's a certain type of leaf, and sorry for the details, but it's interesting. You know, you have the leaves, you cut them with a special scissor, it's kept, and you cut it into triangles. You take out the middle spine so that only the leaf part is there. Those triangles will neatly stack it up on one side, and there is a special pink tuna which you keep in the middle, and it used to be always flat. So even if Swami used the next time, it was always flat, and new ones. And then we had cloves and ilaichi, so 4 little smaller things and one. And every time Swami finished that day in the night, we would have that as prasad. So that was the routine for many, many years, till in Trai Vrindavan, suddenly Swami stopped eating pan. And Swami explained in one of the evening Trai sessions that one of the ministers from Karnataka had come inside for interview, and he had the habit of inhaling snuff. You know, so he was doing that, and he had this handkerchief which he blew his nose, and it was all black. And Swami said, Chetta Vasana, you know, what a bad habit you have, and he scolded him. And after the guy left, Swami said, I wiped my mouth, and it was red because of the pan. So he says, how can I tell him not to do something when I am having pan? So Swami at that moment stopped eating pan. But if you go interestingly, why did Swami get the habit of pan? It was Isaramma. Whenever Swami used to go to school, apparently Swami, she used to take a pan leaf and put a ragi ball in it and give that to Swami as to eat. So even avatars have habits. And one more interesting. I was in there was a big exhibition in Vrindavan, and in that exhibition we used to stand every Saturday, Sunday to give a small little update to devotees who would come there. So one of the devotees, I was at an exhibit which showed Swami's life, and so one of the pictures was about pan. So that foreigner came to me and says, Swami eats pan, it must be really good, can you teach me how to do that? I mean, of all the things to emulate and copy, she wanted to copy the pan part of it. Right? The first year after Dasara celebrations, most of the students go to their own homes, but a few of us, 20-25 of us were stuck around. And we were going to go in a bus to Vrindavan back. And then Swami said, Swami's car was in front of us, and suddenly in the middle he stopped and he came into the bus with us. I remember having a brand new sleeping bag I had spread on the seat, and Swami sat on it and he was joking with us like this in the bus all throughout. And you know that quote that everybody says, you know, when the car is going, the red car in the front, everybody is bending down to the car and finding that there is no Swami in it. So Swami is sitting in the van, in the bus with us. And Swami would tell us that the car was associated with me, so everybody is bowing down to the car. And now I am associated with you and nobody's bowing down to me. That was Swami joking there. And of course Swami, Krishna Janmashtami, he was telling stories about Krishna, lots and lots of Krishna stories. And Swami, I believe, said Krishna was never a king, he was always a king maker. And the artists have painted him with a crown and all that, but he said he was just a simpleton, he had tied a turban and put a feather. And so he told one of the students, I think it was Fairfax Sai, he told him, go get your towel. So he ran and brought his towel, and then Swami tied it on like this, and said this was a simple turban that Swami tied like this. By the way, that altar in the back, Swami himself handpicked every picture and arranged it himself on the hostel dining room altar. So, and then of course he continued to talk about the Kaustuba Mani. He waved his hand and created the Kaustuba Mani that Krishna used to wear. Then this was another Ramanavami talk, discourse, where Swami was giving the talk and he said Dasaratha's minister Sumantara, he was wearing this ring and he created a big ring. And he said that time they were very tall and they had arms going past their knees, and they were much higher than the normal human being now. And so a whole discourse on Ramayana and Sumantara's ring. This is our Swami dinner. So we would create the jhula, keep it all ready. And so the music program students had a wonderful time. They would give a beautiful Sonam, Hira, Kote. And it would last for almost an hour, and then after that it was followed by a dinner. And Swami would himself walk up and down. He would sit on the table, we would chant Brahmarpanam. He would hardly have 2 morsels, and Swami would get up. And then he's patrolling the lines to see who's eating what. Hey, no bonda, and you are eating 1 more bonda on top of that. Swami would joke with the plump guy, and he would keep joking. Always we had to be careful that we would finish everything. The plate has to be immaculately clean, no wasting food. Sometimes weddings were arranged. So there were devotees whose weddings were, their children's weddings were performed, and Swami would ask us to make all the arrangements there. So the Kalyan Mandapam, the wedding is done. Then all the guests were fed in the hostel, and all of us had to serve. And at that time, you have to be super careful because you can't be clumsy and drop something on the floor. You have to, these guests. So that was another education for us because we had turns class by class to roll chapatis. So you can imagine that 500 chapatis you have to roll, and these 20 boys have got this task 2 hours. And initially it was the map of Australia, and then finally it was a full moon at some point. For puris we had the template, so that it was perfect. This car has lots of memories. For some time, because I was in security duty in the mandir, one day Swami called up and said that, look, somebody had climbed outside Swami's bedroom window and he wanted to know who it was. Just so happened that I was there outside and I noticed who it was. It was one of the lecturers who was tying the toranam outside Swami's windows. And that time the mango trees were very sparse, and so they could not get mango leaves, so we used to use Ashoka leaves, the tall trees. So he had climbed up that Ashoka tree to pick some leaves for the toranam. So in the morning when Swami asked me, and I said, Swami, it was this lecturer who went up for the leaves. So Swami told Radhakrishna, Chudura, Anni Telsu Valki. So like I got little stock market prices were up. So after that Swami asked me to look after his cars so that Radhakrishna wouldn't have to go down and look after the cars. So every day I washed Swami's cars, I started them. I didn't know how to drive, so I couldn't take it out of the garage, but at least I did that part every day. And then it so happened that one day this car showed up, and this was given to Swami by a Malaysian devotee. His name was Chris Chua. And it so happened that Chris Chua had a son, a grown-up son, who was schizophrenic. So because it was tough for the father to look after him, Swami said, send your son here, I will look after him. So the son was brought from Malaysia here to the hostel, not hostel, to the mandir side. There were some apartments, and Swami appointed me and another student to look after him. That boy's name was Chai. And it was a education in itself looking after him, because here is a person who randomly became violent, or he was used to non-vegetarian and now we have to convert him into a vegetarian. And to do that, me and that other student have to learn cooking. So we have to cook meals 2 times and we only know limited dishes. So we have to convince that person that these are the best dishes, because we can't make 5 dishes. So we both did that for a long time. There were many times that we had to run for our lives because he was getting violent. But all said and done, Swami's love for the devotee, where he took over the responsibility of looking at that person. Chris Chua's story later on, after many years, about 10 years ago, I met in Puttaparthi, I met our previous All India President, Mr. Srinivasan from Madras. He was sitting and I had shown him this picture. He said, oh, Chris Chua, yes, I have to tell you a story. So he says, one day I was going on a business trip, leaving for a business trip, and I told Swami I'm going to Japan. Swami said, drop by Malaysia and meet Chris Chua and then go. So he was expecting some letter, something from Swami. Swami just gave him vibhuti. He said, just go and meet him. As our Mr. Srinivasan reached Malaysia, he asked to be let inside in Chris Chua's house. And Chris Chua comes in and he says, why have you come? because he didn't know what the reason was. He didn't need anything, he didn't ask Swami. Why did suddenly Mr. Srinivas show up there? And so as he entered, he says, I was shocked because this guy was walking around with a gun. And he was very serious, very, very distraught, and he's walking around, why have you come? What do you want? All that stuff. And he said, nothing. Swami, I was going to Japan. Swami asked me to come and see you, and here's vibhuti packets. He cooled down and he says, you know what, I was about to shoot myself. And Swami sent me there. So that Chris Chua had given a car to Swami. And when I remember when it actually came, all the Whitefield doctors and everybody were there. You know, Mr. Srinivas's, C. Srinivas's mother and all, they were all there. So they were standing around and Swami says, Chudura, Anta automatic. Very nice. And then he went inside and he pressed the glass. The antenna is going up, the antenna is going down. The glass is going up, glass is going down. The back rear view mirrors are going, and Swami is like a child, you know, he's explaining everything. But he hardly sat in it because whoever converted it from left-hand drive to right-hand drive forgot to change the computer chip. So every 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, the car would heat up and it would stop in the middle of the road. They have to cool down and then continue. They brought so many different kinds of repair people from local and abroad. Nothing happened. But the best part is I got to ride in this car more than Swami. Every time it went for test drive, I could sit there, go to Old Madras Road, come back, and this was that Cadillac. This picture of Swami next to this Tulsi plant is a special memory for me because every time students excelled in education, Swami would really praise them, that give them, see, Chudura, he got rank, this, that, and he would give lots of chances. So also one day, I thought, well, that's a good chance. So I prayed, Swami, let me also get some medal or something so that I get that same chance and recognition. It so happened that that year, one of the students whom all of you know, but I won't say the name, he got a gold medal in MSc in Indian Institute of Science. And I got a gold medal from Bangalore University for banking. It so happened that that student was, Swami had a big function in that portico, and Swami gave a discourse saying, look, he's an ideal boy, and he's this, and Swami sent Jogarao, Ramabrahmam, and the warden for the convocation in Bangalore, just for him, so that when he went on the stage, everybody clapped. And when I went there, nobody, nothing, you know, like I didn't exist. So I was very, very dejected. And in that mood, I was standing next to this Tulsi plant. And that day, everybody went into the bhajan hall to sing bhajan. I said, I don't want to go for bhajan. I'm very depressed. So I was dazed, just standing there. Suddenly, Swami came back from the darshan outside, Sai Ram Shet, and he was passing by, and he's in this mood. And as he comes close to me, he says, hey Mayur, gold medal? Papam. You know, and he said that and he walked by. Letting me clearly know that he is totally aware that you got a gold medal. And just because he didn't felicitate me and he felicited somebody else, doesn't mean I don't know about it. And of course, you know, there's Swami's talk about saying that a mother loves all the children equally, but when she has to feed herself, whereas others you just take the food yourself. That doesn't mean he doesn't love this. So that was another one. Swami's zoo, this was a wonderful time. I had a chance in 2008 to narrate a small story in the Sai Kulwant Hall. You know, Swami used to go to the zoo and he would, right away he would say, deer, deer, and then, you know, the students would give him some apples and all the deer that front. And then Swami would turn around and we were all standing outside the cage. And Swami would turn to us and say, deer, deer. And then Swami said, this four-legged deer are coming to me running, but these two-legged deer are not coming. And punning on the word D-E-R and D-E-A-R. So that's was, and when I had the chance to say it in front of Swami, Swami was really emotional. That was really nice. And then of course we had lots of different things with parrots, with rabbits, with pigeons, and of course can't forget Sai Gita. When Sai Gita comes, that's like the amazing thing. So very excited, she gets really excited. He goes too close to Swami, and she can't control herself because of that. And then Swami says, Gita, Gita, and then, wow, it's a love story by itself. And we had a chance to be there. This is, for at least a year and a half, I had the chance to look after so the student would cut apples and oranges and give it in my hand. I would pass it on to Swami, and Swami would feed them. And sometimes Swami is feeding them, and then suddenly he'd catch the nose and he'd have to them, playing with them. That was very nice. And then, of course, we get namaskar, and that red box there, red flask and thing, that's where Swami would wash his hands. So after Swami leaves, that's our tirtham. You would all have. And then the Gokulam was right there at those old days. So every time Swami would go down and a new calf is born, Swami would go down to see the calf, and they would make with the first junnu, or something. Yeah. That was there as prasad. The Swami is standing with all of us. It's a newborn calf. There are pictures of Swami on the back, like this, taking pictures. Very nice one. And then, of course, this was the 1979 Gokulashtami, where we had Krishna Janmashtami, where we took a cow procession in Sairam Shed. Wonderful. And of course, then came the Shivaratri trip 1979. So Swami had already told us to be ready. On that 2 days before, on the 1 day before, we were supposed to leave at about 3 a.m. And Swami wanted to do it very quietly. But because the hostel already got a wind of it, all the students were up and lined up there. So we left in 2 cars. Swami was going 4 students, and then coming back we switched around. So I got the chance to sit in the same car with Swami on the way to Mudumalai forest. And of course, this was the whole batch of students. We would stop on the way to take pictures. And throughout, like when we were passing Mysore, Swami said, this was Srirangapatnam, Halagappan's medal with all the Amrit coming out. Swami would explain that. Then we were passing by on mountain. Swami said, hey Mayur, he used to call me, hey Bombay. Hey Bombay, Tipu Sultan's tomb, that one on top on the way, Mysore. And then he kept like a tour guide, we were getting the run on everything that's happening. And behind Swami's seat in the glass, in the back screen, all different boxes, so many. So he would bring out a different box, and we get idlis and bondas from Swami's hand continuously. And then, of course, Swami and the student next to him would sing bhajans for us. Swami would sing, what is it, Tyagaraja Kirtan and all that. Those things he would sing. And so it was like we were the guests and Swami and was entertaining us, on the way. And I remember we reached the forest and there was a fog. And in the fog, suddenly a couple of deer were on the side of the road. Swami said, hey, stop the car. And he was looking at it intently, his own creation. He's admiring it. He stopped and he stand and take a picture like this here. And finally we go to the Kargudi rest house. It's the government rest house. No, for 1.5 miles, nobody lives around, just this house. So there was 2 rooms only. The warden and some of the senior students in one room with Swami, and 6 of us in the other room. And beautiful time we had there. Very informal, sitting on the... And then one day we went for an elephant safari with Swami. There was 3 elephants, and I remember Swami being in the first one. There was a minister from Subaraidu from Andhra Ministry. And then I was on the second one, and I had taken that picture. And for 2 hours we were going through the Mudumalai forest in 3 elephants. Nobody's talking, nothing. Just the front elephant with Swami sitting is breaking a path through the virgin forest. And we went there, and finally when we came back, of course this was Swami on the elephant. Finally when we came back to the mandir, to the Kargudi rest house, he says, Mayur, all the students he asked, he said, did you realize one thing? We were all going through the forest looking for elephants, not realizing we are sitting on one. So similarly, mankind is looking for God everywhere, not knowing God is inside. So that was his way. And of course we went for a safari with Swami in this jeep. This picture was taken because the jeep got stuck in the mud, so we had to all get off and push. But in the front of the jeep there is a hatch, and the forest ranger stands on the chair and he looks out for wildlife. So at one point he stopped and he showed us a herd of elephants. And Swami said, That's the mother-in-law, that's the father-in-law, that is the son-in-law. He would joke. And this, we all have memes. I have lots of memes on some of these pictures, but it could not be politically correct to say it here. Out of affection for Swami. So this is again Swami sitting in the van. And then it was Shivratri day, and then Swami gave a discourse on the essence of Shivratri, how Shiva drank the halahal poison, and then he fell down and Parvati lifted him up, and so that statue that he created was, the base is Parvati and Shiva is on top, and of course he gave that statue to some devotee. And then he created watches for the other devotees, the forest rangers. Lots of love, he just kept on giving. And that Shivratri night, he was sitting in the chair and they shut all the lights. The whole bungalow is dark. You can only see in the forest, Swami sitting in that chair, all of us sitting around Swami's feet and doing Padaseva. It was, unreal, surreal, what you call it. Just one of the students, he asked, "What do you want?" Quietly. He said, "Swami, nothing. I don't want anything." That's it. That was the only interaction that night. Quiet, nobody speaking, Swami giving a namaskar. The next morning, of course, this picture reminds, because I was taking the Instamatic pictures, and Swami said, "Hey, film munda." And I did not know why Swami is asking that, but later on I found out that, in Purnachandra Auditorium or any event, our students, whoever had cameras, got the front row seats because they had to take pictures. But most of them didn't have film. They were just sitting there in the front to get the chance to get that front row seat. So they were taking away with empty cameras. So that's why Swami said, "Hey, film munda," because you were taking away with you. Then we were on the way back, we went to Ooty. And Ooty school, Swami was lying down like this and sitting, and I couldn't help noticing that ankle socks were in fashion that time too. They've come back now. Very casual, Swami is sitting there, and Swami said, "Hey, Subaraidu, what a rowdy rat," he's pointing to me. He says, "Yeah, hey Mayur, you have had everything?" I said, "Yes, Swami, I drank Bloody Mary, whiskey, vodka, everything before coming to Swami." So he says, "Chududa, rowdy ra. I know you also put the cigarette on the side and you smoke like this." Swami is making fun of me. It's imposing. Then finally, the bungalow was being broken down. As you know, Rajmata Navanagar, she asked that Swami should live in a better house. So that's when this place was being broken down, and that's when Swami gave us mementos, and we found out that those tiles, some of the tiles were made in the 18th century. So it was that old the bungalow was. Everybody took mementos, stones, bricks, small little things to keep for them. And finally Swami moved to this place, Rajmata's house. And Rajmata's house, again, lots and lots of memories. One was where, I used to drink Viva. Anybody knows about Viva, malt drinking? I used to drink that Viva thing, and I let Radhakrishna know, who was Swami's student who lived inside. So he liked it, so he said, "Why don't you get it for me also?" So I was on staircase duty. Swami had retired in the afternoon. I said, when Swami is not there, I'll just go run and get it, and nobody else was there. So there's Sevadal in the main door, nobody in the ground floor, and Swami is upstairs. So I ran to our cooperative society where students had it. I brought a malt bottle, and I came sprinting, and then there is a door on the side behind. As I ran up the steps, I almost bumped into Swami. Swami was waiting there. "Hey, what Rag, you left everything open and went." I said, "No, Swami, this malt Viva, I want to bring for." "How is it? What is this?" He says, "Very good drink," I said. So, "Acha, okay." Later on, he found out that Swami had ordered cases of it for Sai Gita. It's inside news, but Swami had ordered that because I think Sai Gita was sent walking to Mudumalai forest to become a mother. It didn't happen, but she got lots of malt Viva bottles. So that was one of them. The other one was, my elder brother, at that time his marriage proposal was happening. So naturally I was inside, so parents took the advantage and saying, "Here, please tell Swami this, please tell Swami that." So I remember going up to Swami parents, they brought proposal for elder brother. Marriage broker? He asked me to completely back off and not direct contact my parents ke saath, you know. So he let me did that, and you won't believe it. He arranged the wedding in the Prashant Nilayam interview room. But the hidden rule is, unless Swami instructs, you can't go. So although brother was getting married there, I did not go for the wedding. And then afterwards, when he met, he says, "Student, aap pagal hai. He didn't come only." So inside he's happy, because the marriage broker thing is that, you know, he always used to tease our students, "Pendli rogam, yeah, pendli rogam," you know. So in a way, he was thrilled about it. There was also this main foyer, and at that time, you know, there was a need for lecturers in Puttaparthi College. The university had just started, and because, if you recollect, when Swami asked me to leave, I cried. So he did not want to ask me directly. So he sent Dr. V.K. Gokak, the Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, and he came and asked me, "Mayur, will you come to Puttaparthi to teach?" I said, "No, sir, I won't. I will only do what Swami says." So naturally it failed. Imagine the audacity to tell the Vice Chancellor, "I won't come." You know? And when Swami came back to the bungalow, it was just before Dasera. And you can imagine Swami is into that routine where he's buying lots of saris and dhotis to distribute during Dasera celebrations. So Mrs. Ratanlal was on the left-hand side, I was kneeling down on the right-hand side, and a devotee had come from Bangalore with lots of suitcases. And each of the suitcases had different saris and dhotis and all samples. So Swami would take one of them and he would look at the price and say, "Hey, Mrs. Ratanlal, dekho, how much do you think it is?" And she would say, "Oh, Swami, 1,000 rupees. "No, Raj, cheap, 500 rupees. You know? And then he would say, they're talking shop about the kind of pallu and the kind of jali, and Swami is like an expert, you know, he knows everything on this. They're discussing all that, and then finally Swami picks a whole bunch and says, "Now order this, and that's true." That devotee leaves. Mrs. Ratanlal goes back to the kitchen to cook, and I'm alone with Swami packing up. Swami is looking at the sari, and now without looking at me, he says, "Hey Mayur, going to Puttaparthi to teach?" I said, "No, Swami, I won't want to lose your sannidhi." So he's not looking me in the eye and asking that. So I said, "No, I don't want to lose your sannidhi, Swami, I don't want to go there." He says, "Let me tell you a story." So he put the sari down and he says, there was a person who left his family and friends and wealth and everything and went into the Himalayas to do meditation. And he sat on a rock and he was meditating every day. And every day he would go to the river, have a bath, and after having the bath he would come back to the rock to meditate. One day when he came back from the river, he found another yogi sitting on that rock. So the guy got mad and he said, "Hey, get off, that's my rock." And no kuda atlara. You left your parents and everybody in Mumbai, and now you made Vrindavan your rock. Says, "Which is the best place? Vrindavan or Puttaparthi?" I said, "Vrindavan, Swami." Still didn't register. Swami said, "No, the correct answer is, wherever Swami is, that's the best place." Says, "In a minute I can make Vrindavan into Puttaparthi and Puttaparthi into Vrindavan." And believe it or not, during 60th birthday, events happened, politically also, outside, that Swami did not come to Vrindavan for 1.5 years during 60th birthday. During that time, Kadugodi village economy went down. Alembic Glass Colony, if you know what it is there, it was the biggest factory there in that, closed down. Pre-university in the college closed down. So it was really, and students would not opt for courses that were offered in Vrindavan, because Swami didn't go for 1.5 years. And that was actually what had happened. So Swami's instruction was very, very... I also remember another incident where Swami, because we were in that small circle, there was an afternoon when Swami was sitting at the dining table, and Colonel Jogarao and Ramram Mangaro were sitting there, and I was supposed to serve food. Absolutely naive, don't know anything about Telugu traditions. So I went and started serving. Swami said, "Hey, not like that. First, he explained the whole routine. You have to give first dal with roti, then rice with sambar, rice with rasam, rice with yogurt. None of this order can be changed. It has to be exactly in the sequence. Not only that, so I was pushing my spoon into the pot with rice, right in the middle. Not like that, give it to me. Took the thing and cut it from the side neatly and put it there. See, this is how you have to serve. Same thing with the yogurt. I was putting it in the middle. No. Cut it from the side and put it. And once that is over and the rasam and rice and yogurt and rice is over, don't give anything else, just the fruit. Then Swami would have either the watermelon or
honeydew melon. So that was again another education for us to learn. Swami giving darshan from his window. And then the time came when the Trai Vrindavan inauguration was happening. And we were all getting excited and preparing the talks. I remember the actual inauguration day, Swami was waiting for the procession of the cows to come from the Gokulam, which was another village. So I ran down the street, I saw them coming, and I went up to Swami. I said, Swami, wo log kheench ke liye aata hai. So Swami said, him kheench cheptu na. Because it sounded like a weird thing. It's common to say that in Hindi, but not in this. And of course, we were preparing all the pots of, Swami had a beautiful silver pot of 1 rupee coins, which he wanted to do for Narayan Seva and people like that. So we went with Swami in the car for the inauguration. It was a wonderful time. That time, Swami did not move into the Trai Vrindavan the same day. It was April 26, 1984. He went straight to Guntur and Mumbai trip. And he told a couple of us, for security reasons, you sleep there. So we were there, and then when Swami came back from the trip, first thing is getting down from the car and says, hey Mayur, hum tumhare ghar gaya. Means he went to our apartment in Mumbai, suddenly, unannounced trip, and said, tumhara rowdy pictures dekha. That means my parents thought that they were impressing Swami. They showed all the teenage pictures from my college years with long hair, jeans, Bruce Lee t-shirt, all that stuff. So from that gentle, be careful, don't make him cry kind of a thing, my stock market prices went down right away. And then, of course, Swami went to the house there and blessed the whole family. I was missing, of course, because I was in Trai Vrindavan. And there also, there were so many incidents. Swami had asked parents, yeah, okay, I'll come. And when he landed there, our building there is a very, I would say low middle class building. Lots of slums in the front. And I had told my mother and my father that those days when Swami went into huts with people with bananas and all that, that is all gone. It's all in Satyam Shum Sundaram. It's not possible now. But somehow they convinced him, and Swami landed up there. And in that building, there was a banyan tree right in the middle of the compound. So in that banyan tree, what happened was Pujari had moved into the building, and he said all the, it's a cooperative society, but everything is operation, no cooperation. Lots of fights. When the annual general meeting happened, there's a police van outside, all that kind of stuff, right? So this Pujari who had come there and he had bought an apartment, he said there was a Hanuman temple below this banyan tree and it's not being respected, worshipped, therefore that's why all these problems with the cooperative society. So he sat in the middle of two cars parked, where he thought it was a sacred place, and for many months he did some puja there. So that's one aspect. When Swami's car pulled up into that portico, Swami got off from the thing, and the first place where his place was where this guy had done puja. So he was thrilled. Oh wow, my puja is now fructified because Swami put his foot there. Not only that, moment Swami stepped out, my dad, being a lawyer, had a client, Muslim client by the name Mr. Porbandar, and he had a bodyguard. All builders need bodyguards there. So that bodyguard's name was Sher Khan. Sher Khan had an apartment right in the opposite building, so he could look at Swami getting down from the car. He had his small little daughter in his hand. The daughter doesn't know anything. They're both standing there. The daughter tells, Baba, सामने वाली building में Allah है, Allah के पैर में चप्पल नहीं है. So he was absolutely flabbergasted. He said, I have not told anything. This is the small kid's reaction. Of course, when Swami went up, he went to 3 different devotees' house. One had a death anniversary, another had a birthday. And when he came into our house, he knew everything. Like when he got out of the elevator, there are 12 apartments on one floor, small apartments. Swami got out of the elevator and straight made a beeline exactly for our apartment. He knew which one it was. And without anybody saying. So those one small half-an-hour incident, but he showed so many miracles during that thing. Of course, when he came back, I had lots of chances in the mandir because I was a point man there. I had all the keys of the different rooms in hand. I knew, because Swami had moved all his old stuff in the warehouses, so I knew exactly which one was where. Swami regularly sent me for errands. And that was a wonderful interaction. Till finally he said, hey, I don't have a PhD program yet, so I'm going to wait 1 year, teach in Vrindavan for 1 year, and then when I start the PhD program, I'll take you over. So this is where Hirok, Sundar, myself, 3 of us were the part of the 18 first research scholars. We were for the Department of Commerce. And again, it was a wonderful time. Later on, Swami even brought my dad over because he was a lawyer. So it started very interestingly. My dad asked one question in an interview. My mother's 60th birthday it was, and during that thing, he asked, Swami, can you, how to be free from Maya? So Swami said, what's your name? I'm Mayur Pandya. What are you? Lawyer. Okay. Where are you practicing? In India, in Mumbai, and all that. So Swami asked him 16, 17 questions. At the end of it, says, so much information in your head, how can Maya go? Then he said, leave all your practice, 40, 45 years of legal practice, just leave it and come away. Son ko de do, elder brother. Now you can imagine, in India, legal cases, as you all know, 3 generations can fight of the lawyers, and 3 generations of the judges are also continuing. In the legal cases. So you can, elder brother was just a fresh newbie lawyer, and Swami just said, go ahead, give the whole thing to him. So he had to figure out all the cases, where it went off, all that. Swami just told dad to come away, dad, mom, and we had an uncle who was mentally challenged. All 3 of them he brought in Puttaparthi, and he was teaching, I was teaching, and guess who our student is? My younger brother. He had the toughest time. That's it. This was again another wonderful memory. Swami standing on the hilltop in Prashantliam. But behind that, if you can see a small little dike. So one of the days I was sitting in the portico and Swami was going out in the car. He beckoned me and sat next to Swami. And just me, Swami, and that driver. And we drove up to that. It had newly been built because they wanted to collect water as in a reservoir for the Gokulam. So when they collected, so Swami stopped the car far away because the road was big. And as Swami went to the bottom of it, he couldn't climb up. So I was holding Swami's hand and walking up that steep embankment. And then from one end to the other, just Swami and me walking. And it was pin drop silence in the afternoon, just wind blowing. And it was an amazing experience to be with Swami there. Of course, Sankaracharya drama we already mentioned. It was a way to interact with Swami. Dramas were there, so many we did here and there during 60th birthday. Sankaracharya drama also was very nice. We did in Parthi, in Mumbai, in Sanmakanand Hall, and even in Bangalore. And during that time, Swami would personally direct each of us as to what we should do or should not do. And at one point for the Chaudhaya Memorial Hall program, Swami came down from his bedroom and he had this paper bag with him. And from the paper bag, he took out a bracelet, a golden colored bracelet, which was, of course, artificial jewelry. And he said, wear this, you're a Pandit, so you should wear the kada on your hand. And he put that kada on my hand, I still have it with me. He also got Kamavadani's blue shawl for Sundar and me and others. You know, Kamavadani is that Pandit who used to do the chanting before every Dasara celebration. So that, of course, he took it back and gave it to them. I think I'll stop here, given that it's top of the 1.5 hours. I will continue with the same one, and I have another talk later. This is for Madras, so thank you. Sai Ram.
That was really a very enlightening experience that you shared with us. Now we will break for lunch and we will regroup again about 1 hour from now. Sairam.
His life lessons learned at Swami's feet. That is going to be his topic for part 2. Without any further ado.
No, not the video.
like kids are making noises.
Om Shri Sai Ram. After a sumptuous lunch, when South Indian gentleman was asked, "Did you enjoy lunch?" He said, "Yes, sir, I am fed up and fulfilled." So I hope all of us are fed up and fulfilled. Before the carbs kick in and make us drowsy, I think we should start talking about it. Where I left off, it's out of the several other trips, one was the Madras trip. So happened that in 1984, we had just joined the PhD program, and we had to do research in many places. So Swami wanted to discourage me from going out to do research, so he arranged everything in Prashantlayam. But at some point in time, I had to go to Chennai, that time it was still called Madras, to do research in the Kothari Institute. So, Swami, like a loving parent, he suddenly one fine morning in Prashantlayam, he told us, three of us, Sundar, Hirok, myself, and Mayur Pandya, who was a lecturer, that he's taking us to Madras for the research. But before that time the standard 2000, first time a car had come out, new model. And that first car was given to Swami by the owners of the factory. So we got the chance to sit in that car, and Swami's car went ahead, and we were four of us in the second car. And Swami, instead of going to Chennai, first he took us to Anandpur College. Now that's taboo. Boys going to a women's college. Just a big no-no. But Swami being Swami, he made that. And the whole purpose was that Swami always praised the girls, the Anandpur girls, saying their sports day was very well organized and we need to learn something from them. So he took us to Anandpur, and the whole day we spent there. And I have a video at home full of that whole video. You can imagine our predicament that the music program is on the stage and we are all sitting there in the first front row. Sports day, Swami wants us to learn how they're doing it well, but we are all looking down. So we have no clue what's happened. The only mistake I made was when the teachers were serving us lunch, I said, no, I don't want, because they kept pouring. And once they kept pouring, we have to finish whatever is there in the plate. I did that, and when we went to Vrindavan, Swami said, hey, no atla chestunnadu. Yeah, that he made the sign. So that's the kind of a strict atmosphere. But after the Anandpur trip, we went to Vrindavan, and from Vrindavan, we went to Madras, Chennai, and we had a wonderful time there. Swami sent us every day after the morning program to Kothari Institute to study with Sevadal accompanying us. And one of the highlights of that was the Gindi temple. If you all know, the Lokanath Mudaliyar was a very big devotee. If you read in Baba Sathya Sai, Lokanath Mudaliyar's daughter, Leelamma, was the priestess of this temple, Shirdi temple. When this temple was made, Swami had created a yantra and placed it below the statue. So he took us there and a lot of places. Lokanath Mudaliyar's story was very, very nice, in the sense that he was a very rich person, and when Swami was very, very young, he had suddenly fallen ill. And because he was ill, in the dream he saw a small boy with afro hair come, and he was a devotee of Subramaniam. So he saw this boy coming in the dream and piercing his chest with the Velayuda, the spear that Subramaniam has. And he became okay. And next instinctively all students go. Okay. So pierced the thing, and then suddenly a car pulls out under the portico of Lokanath Mudaliyar's house, and this youth walks in, and it's the same youth that he saw in the dreams. And he said that there is a Gujarati tantric who has done some sacrificial stuff in the in a plot of land. Apparently what had happened is that Tantrik had encroached on Lokanath's property and he had occupied it. When Lokanath threatened to throw him out, he put some black magic on it. So Swami asked his family members to remove all those stuff which was buried in the ground and to get rid. So that's how he was cured. And then that whole family is a whole saga of stories, but that's the daughter who was looking after. So that's the story behind the Madras trip. A very funny incident happened that we were having meals with Swami every day, morning, evening. And as you know, Swami always wants us to chant Brahmarpanam. So typically in our program today, before we ate, we should have all done a Brahmarpanam and then we should have broken away to eat food. It so happened that because Swami used to sit on the table there and there were two sort of mats on either side in front of Swami's table and we would sit down and eat food, four meals with him. Breakfast, lunch, tiffin, dinner. 4 meals with Swami every day. So when we are sitting there, moment Swami puts the first bite in the mouth, I think, from me, I'm thinking that it's all sacred stuff. It's been offered to Swami and then I'm eating. So I started eating. And one day I noticed that the students around me were closing their eyes and doing Brahmarpanam. So I also did Brahmarpanam. When I looked up, Swami was staring and said, "Hey, Donga, you thief. All these days you didn't do Brahmarpanam and today you're pretending to do Brahmarpanam." But in the bargain, what happened was the boy sitting next to me when my eyes were closed, he took all his bondas and put them in my plate. So now everybody finished their meal and I was just the only same guy, slowly trying to finish whatever was there. And Swami says, "You're going on eating like a stuffed animal." So those are some very sweet nothings during the visit. Then the next trip was in Kodaikanal in 1989. And we spent 1 whole month in Kodaikanal with Swami, just those boys. And Swami had actually bought a Swaraj Mazda bus just for us, air-conditioned bus, so that we all are comfortable while going. And he would travel in the bus with us. And throughout the bus ride, he was giving us Tetra packs of milk, juice. Because we were sweating, he would give us those wet wipes so that we could all, and not like pass it on. Every 30 of us were in the car, go and he would give it personally. And then of course he would be the tour guide, showing us everything around. In this case, on the way, one thing which is famous when we go with Swami is that on the way, lots of devotees are already from different villages already know that Swami is coming. So they're standing for hours in the sun just for that one glimpse. And that is something that was humbling for us because we would take Swami so casually every day we are with him. But here are those devotees who get a once-in-a-lifetime chance to see Swami up close. And that was the nice experience for them. We got like at least 20 pictures individually with Swami. And then group pictures as many. Which were with them. This particular spot was a very steep hill. We walked all the way down and Swami posed just because the background scenery was clouds and blue and all that. And then after that, when we were coming back, it was so steep because Swami had slip-ons. So all of us took turns with his hand to hold and take him up, and that was our chance to. This was another pictures. And then sometimes it would be raining, so Swami would come in umbrella. I was just telling them about umbrella. And of course we are eating 4 meals with Swami, so Swami said, "Hey, full day loading, unloading, go for walks." There were times when Swami is giving a talk to all the students and suddenly the washroom is there. One boy steps out flushing, the toilet. And he says, "Hey, Amra, loading, unloading," and that whole shop. Swami is right outside the door. So he would send us for walks all around the lake. There's a big lake. And as we walked in the lake, he would actually come in the car behind to watch us, to see us. So that's one of those pictures we took. I remember this car being given by Antonio Craxi, an Italian devotee. When it first came, it was in Vrindavan. It was parked in the portico in the old mandir. And so Swami's finished some meeting in the, Kalyan Mandapam. It's a small shed in Vrindavan. And as he's walking by to give darshan to the devotees, he looks into his driveway and he sees this car. He says, "Whose car is that?" And he said, "Swami, that's your new car." So he says, "Oh, okay." And then he goes there, the devotees are left aside. He goes for a drive through the car and all that. So this is the car. And the reason why I remember it because I had the privilege of putting the number plates. I had created temporary number plates and it always ends with a 9. Whichever number of Swami's car number is, it always ends in a 9. This one. And of course, Swami took wonderful pictures. The one on the right with the hat was the one where when he was going for a drive, that time Swami had, once this young man was selling these hats outside on the street. So Swami, when he saw that, he came back and he gave all the students in that batch money. And he told them all to go to that boy and buy all his hats. So they bought one hat for Swami also. And then of course that trip Swami gave lots of stories about Krishna. How Krishna married each of his 8 queens. And so at every story, which was one per day, he would create relevant rings. For example, there was one of them where Krishna had to defeat some bulls. And if whoever defeated those bulls who were a menace, the king would give his daughter in marriage. And so that's how Swami said, that's the ring on the left-hand side. And there was one more story of Balarama, Krishna's brother. He married Revati. So that whole Balarama Revati marriage Swami explained, and then how Brahma came and gave a gift to them, and Swami waved his hand and he created a big a piece of jewelry, which was an arch full of diamonds, a circle around with the diamonds, and in the middle a crystal swan. And that was a pendant that Revati had to wear. So after he gave that thing, he showed that, and then he put his handkerchief on it, and he told one boy, keep it. And after the discourse was over, he said, give it back, and it was disappeared. Hey, where did you take it? Poor boy didn't know that it disappeared from the handkerchief, but that's how Swami. We had lots of discussions and impromptu talks that time, because Swami was saying, my students can talk and give any talk, so he would suddenly, when the guests were there and all were sitting in the evening sessions, he would ask us, okay, speak about this. And so all of us at short notice had to speak. And mind you, up to 1989, from 79 to 89, I had never spoken before Swami. And I was scared about it, that, if Swami asked me, I don't know what I'm going to say. And believe it or not, the first day we landed in Kodaikanal, he said, Mayur, come, speak. And fortunately, it was something to do with my research topic. So I said, okay, that was home ground. And then on another day, Swami asked me to speak again about some of the experiences. After I said that, I kind of broke down while speaking, and so Swami waved his hand and created the ring and put it on my finger. So all in all, it was a beautiful time. My parents were there, they got a chance. And then from there we went to Ooty, and Swami was sitting in Ooty in the sofa, and behind him there was a window. And from the window we could see so many devotees sitting for long hours there. And Swami said, look, what good fortune for you students. In Haiga, you're sitting in the air condition, whereas those people are sitting in the hot sun. And you can sit at my feet and do my namaskar. But so in a moment I can walk the skies and the whole world will come to me. But just to keep you dear and near to me, I'm going to let you sit there quietly. And of course, finally, when the PhD was over, Swami gave the certificate. And at the end, he gave this plaque for the PhD, thesis when it was complete and the degree was given. And very interestingly, he called into the interview room and said, while giving it, say, hey Mayur, I brought these for all the research scholars so that when they leave and they go away, they can see this and remember me. And at that time it was not, we were confirmed we were going to be with Swami forever. But Swami gives these hints that, time comes and we have to move on. A couple of stories I forgot, it was mentioned during lunch, is that when I told my mother, if Swami is God, turn the picture around. Well, the first time my parents came to visit us in Bethesda, my mother told me, Mayur, you remember you told that if Swami is God, he should turn the picture around. Well, he didn't turn the picture around, he turned you around. So he says she's always convinced about, and at those lotus feet, I can go on telling these stories and pictures about, got about 1,200 pictures at home. And rather than doing that, I think it's important that Swami would want us that not just to remember these memories, but also how can we use those to learn some lessons. And whatever I've put together today is for me, but I'm just sharing as thinking aloud, because it's not that I'm advising anybody, but it's my way of connecting with Swami. But before we get into that, we'll play a small Trai sessions. You know, there were some Trai sessions. Some of them are on YouTube. Some of the students took videos of Swami's private sessions in Trai Vrindavan. And one of these years, in 2007 or something, one lecturer came to me and said, I feel like giving you this CD. And he gave it, I felt it was Swami's messages to me. So I just want to share one glimpse and then we can continue. 9 minutes.
A scholar singing with his melodious voice in a most enchanting, captivating, beautiful style, he started narrating the scripture, Ramayana. As it is an ancient text, as he read repeatedly, as he was teaching Ramayana to people, he could not buy new Ramayana text.
దానితో కుట్టి
He stitched same old text and was making use of it.
ఒక భక్తురాలు
A devotee, a woman, used to sit in the front always.
ఆయన ప్రారంభించడానికి పూర్వమే వచ్చేసేసి
She sits even before the scholar arrives.
ఆయన చెప్పేంత వరకు కూడా కంటిలో నీరు కలుస్తుంది.
So long Ramayana discourse was going on, she wipes off her eyes.
అనంతంగా కలుపుతూ
She goes on nodding her head and wipes off the tears.
ఈ రామాయణం
The reading of the text came to conclusion.
ఆనాడు ఈ పండితుడు మొట్టమొదట పూర్ణావతి యొక్క తీర్థాన్ని అందరికీ ప్రజలకి లేచాడు.
The scholar got up to distribute the sacred water on this concluding day, Purnavati.
ఒక దినం ఒకరు వస్తే ఒక దినం ఒకరు రాకుండా పోవచ్చు. కానీ ఈ ఉత్తరాలు మాత్రం ఒక్కనాడే కూడా తప్పలేదు.
One might come one day and they may not be able to come the following day. But this old lady never missed any talk.
ఈ యొక్క సప్తాహం మనం పూర్తి అటెండ్ చేస్తుంది. ఈ స్త్రీ
She is the only one who attended the Sathya.
అంతే శ్రద్ధతో వినినటువంటి యొక్క మహాపర భక్తురాలి.
She is a great devotee who listened to talks with all sincerity and devotion. He got her to give this sacred water, Tirtha, to her. Mother, all this Ramayana must have been imprinted on your heart. He said, sir, I don't know all about this Ramayana. I don't know what Ramayana is, I don't know what Parayana reading of it. The scholar asked, what is it that you have listened to over this week? She said, I have not listened to anything. Then why are you shedding the tears of joy? My husband died.
అతను మరణించక పూర్వంలో భారతీయ సాంప్రదాయాన్ని తెలుసుకుని అతని మొదలు నల్లటి తాడు.
As per the culture of Bharat, he used to have waistband, a black thread.
బ్లాక్ థ్రెడ్ కట్టేవాడు.
He had that black thread as waistband.
ఈ పుస్తకంలో బ్లాక్ థ్రెడ్ కట్టేవాడు.
I see that black thread in your book. If we ask what did Swami say, some don't understand it at all.
కానీ చూపులు మాత్రం స్వల్పంగా ఉంటాయి.
But the looks are straight on Swami.
చెవుతో విజ్ఞప్తిగా ఉంటుంటారు.
They look as if they listen with their ear.
కానీ మనసు పరిపరిగా పరిగెత్తుతుంటారు.
But mind is running after a different direction.
ఈ విధంగా పరిగెత్తేటువంటి మనసుకున్నటువంటి విద్యార్థులు ఎన్ని సంవత్సరాలు విన్నప్పటికీ
Students with their minds that always run after, there is no use in listening to them.
స్వాధీనంలో పెట్టుకుంటే ఏది వరకు అక్కర్లేదు.
The one who has got control over the mind doesn't need anything. There's one great devotee. He was repeating a stotra now. He was repeating a stotra now. Kesavaya Namah, Madhavaya Namah, placing flowers. He watches the time. He has to go to office by 9 o'clock. By placing flowers, repeating mantra, he was asking his wife, has the Tobi brought the clothes? By repeating Lord's name here, why should you say the name of the Tobi? Bharatiyas do such worship today. They don't keep their mind steady and utter God's name in concentration. They do bhajans.
భజనలు చేస్తున్నారు.
They do bhajans.
కానీ సత్య ఎక్కడ ఉంది, తాళం వేసుకుంటున్నారు, అన్నీ కొట్టుకున్నారే తప్ప భావం ఎక్కడ ఉంది?
They only think of the rhythm and the beat and the tune. Then what about the feeling?
వాడు పాట ముగించిన తక్షణ ఈ పాట ఎంచుకోవాలి.
The moment one completes, the other man should begin.
వాడు చెప్పేది వీళ్ళు.
He doesn't listen.
తాను చెప్పేదని కూడా తను సరిగా మనసు పెట్టదు.
He doesn't concentrate on the song he sings.
తాను ముందు పాటకు ముందు ప్లాన్ వేసుకుంటాడు.
He goes on planning for the future song.
ఈ భజన చేస్తే ప్రయోజనం.
What is the use of such sort of bhajans?
కనుక
I didn't get notes. To the interview room, said, Mayur, what did you like about the discourse? So I told him lots of details. He listened to me patiently. At the end of it, says, I didn't say anything like that in my discourse. Actually, I was caught because I was fibbing. So when Swami said that, you know what, students look at Swami but nothing registers. Swami calls this tricknology, not technology. Because you need a technology Devi to put a coconut, only then it works. So, after going through all the different experience, etc., the one thing that I felt I had to focus on is make sure that I don't take Swami physically. I mean, having 12 years, being so close to him 12 years from 1978 to 1990, and then suddenly after that when I had to leave, for almost 10 years I didn't get darshan. I was abroad and so couldn't go to India. And even after that, the remaining years, I visited Puttaparthi but never had a chance to speak with Swami. Rather, he didn't speak with me. But during those times, I would open all my pictures, go through them and relive some of the memories. I have lots of mementos at home, things like the cushion that I mentioned, I have that. I have Swami's padukas, I have Swami's robe and pitambar. Swami used to wear a banyan in Ooty when it was cold inside that. I have Swami's hair because we used to look after the brush, we used to clean it, so a little bit of hair I have at home. The bracelet, the watch. But all those are signs of love for a certain reason. It was like he says, you know, my miracles are my visiting card. But once I give you what you ask, then now you should want what I have to give you. And so that was the part I felt in those. It was a good reality check that I had to do to myself. And one quotation that came to mind is that if I say I have been a devotee for 42 years, am I a devotee for the first year of devoteeship repeated 42 times? Or is it 42 years of evolving devoteeship where at the end of the 42nd year I have that much more new experience? And that is something that I wanted to check. So one big question that I had in my mind was I drawn to Swami because of the awe factor? You know, usually we are all attracted, where a celebrity is there and lots of people are chasing them, you want to chase them. If somebody is famous and rich, you want to chase them. So was that the reason why I went to Swami? And those are some of the thoughts that are things that I was ruminating in my head. Swami also gave a beautiful example of when I point and say, look there, your attention goes to my finger. But once you see Swami's picture which I'm pointing, you don't need to look at my finger because that's the destination. So also, this Swami said in the context of the importance of mandirs. When you go to a mandir, the deity is there, but the deity only points to the universal God. Once you attach to the universal God, you don't need the deity anymore. So we all, at least I, keep getting stuck in the means and not the end. And it's important to take a step back, do a reality check, and make sure that I'm not taking, what am I doing, showing my gratitude to Swami only verbally or by emotions, or am I doing it by achieving what direction he gave me? And that was a critical point for me. So in that, I put together some of these things, and I said, Swami has always been my role model. And if I say Swami is my role model, what are the basis for which he is my role model? Openly declares his divinity. He is the one person who has from birth said, I am divine, I am here come to my mission. Secondly, unconditional love for all. If you see, he has love for human beings, he's always serving everybody. He's animals, we've shown you already pictures, is so much. But there's another dimension. When we were in hostel in Vrindavan, on one of the Thursdays, Principal Narendra, who was the principal of the college at that time, he received a letter from England. And that letter was called Message from Yor, the title was. And in that, it was sent, the letter was sent by a lady by the name of Betty Gisner. She was in England, and she was a medium, somebody who gets possessed and who writes. So she went into one of the chapels and with a pen and pad, and as she went inside, spirit entered, she wrote something, and then whatever she wrote, she sent the letter to Principal Narendra. So he was reading out, and in that letter I've got the details, but without having to go through those details, I can share it with Brother Sai Sravan. In that the medium that entered her, his name was Amksor, A-M-K-S-O-R-E. He signed his name with a cross on the A. And he said he was a contemporary with Saint Francis of Assisi. And he's reading out, saying that on the question of the divinity of Baba, we would comment, this being of light is ineffaceable in his radiance, which suffuses and envelops all those who are fortunate enough to come within his radiance. He is truly a divine being. We should have you realize that those on our planet of living are very far from the perfection of one such as this holy man among men, the healer of those who desperately need his help. We are nothing when compared to this flame of truth. We bow in adoration at the feet of this divine being. We feel love, the all-encompassing love, which is inherently has at the core of his being. The love that sustains, the love that comforts, the love that encourages and envelops those who travel from far places to be in his presence. We rarely wish to be incarnated in flesh once again, but to experience the glory of his presence, we are willing to don once again the cloak of your human condition. These opportunities are rare and precious, and in the space of your earthly incarnation, you will never have this opportunity to see a presence as this. When you see the physical body of Baba, there will be aroused within you an ecstasy that was engulfed by Francesco, which is Saint Francis of Assisi. But even more deeply will you feel this spiritual expansion. This is somewhat an ordinary way of trying to express our inexpressible reaction. For in the presence of Baba, you are in the presence of God made flesh, not as mere men and women are God in making, but with such a force of inestimable power and beauty that there are no words in your human language to express this experience. Now, this is a divine being, not an earthly person talking. And I don't have any reasons why I want to question this, because it was read very sincerely. It came in 1978. But the fact is that we know that Swami operated on multiple levels of dimensions, and he touched not just physical animals, human beings, but also spiritual seeking. So that is another thing that impressed me. The next one was his power of Sankalpa Shakti, or volition. Just wish something and it happens. There was a video of Dr. Wayne Dyer that I read. Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about Swami, he was interviewed, and he said that many people, you wish for an ice cream and you can go buy it. There may be a coincidence that somebody gives it to you, but in the case of Baba, he just wills and it happens, it appears. That's the purity of it, that you convert and you wish it. The other thing was Swami's great visionary. Swami sitting in the Chitravati bed with how many people? Hardly a handful. At that point in time, he says, my mission will grow where there will be so many people around, you won't even see me as a speck. And now Karnam Subhamma gives the hall next to that, and that becomes the Pata Mandir, the old Mandir. And from that, it becomes the what Swami said came true. If somebody is thought, word and deed, and they say, I will do this, and it happens, that person owns my respect. Dignified demeanor. Wherever Swami goes, he's floating. You know, he's very, very beautiful, dignified demeanor. Where he's walking, he's like gliding. His talking, his singing, his discourses are so beautiful that that dignified demeanor, that Swami says you teach people by your body language how to treat you. So that was Swami's self-confidence. As a child, Shorts, telling his parents, throwing the books and saying, I'm going to go change the world, my devotees are calling me. What confidence? That's like out of the top for me. If he could say that and get away with it and actually achieve it, that's the sum. Effective communicator. Swami used to say, when I give discourses, I don't prepare. I stand in front of the devotees, I look them in the eye, and I know what's going on in their heads. And I already have my topics to tell them, what to include in the discourse. So that's how he did. When we went to Madras, I forgot a story. He took us to a music academy. Anybody knows Chennai? There's a music academy, famous thing. In that place, there was a meet of all the South India University vice chancellors. Can you imagine? And professors. And we four went in one car, and then Swami came later on. Of course, we are sitting in front of Swami, so we had taken out our chappals and everything, we were barefoot. In the auditorium in the front row. Next to me, there was another professor who was a non-devotee. Swami came in, he stood on the podium, and he looked at everybody quietly. And then one would normally think that Swami would give a discourse which is politically correct, which praises them. Swami started it in Pancham Shruti. If there is any problem with the youth today, you all are responsible. He started it that way all that. So the guy who was sitting next to me with his feet up on the front chair, he suddenly straightened up. And he's asking me, do you have a pen? I got to write down the notes. So I had to give him a bus ticket and a pen to write down the notes. And you could see how Swami lambasted them and made them accountable for all the problem of the youth. But and then when we went back to Sundaram, he was sitting down and he says, how was my discourse? And then he said that, I saw all the pride and ego in their faces, and I gave it to them, Manchi Kotaro. So that's Swami's effective communicator. Indifference to pain, pleasure. I've known Swami's gone through a few surgeries where I was told he was reading a newspaper and there was a growth on the foot that was the surgery was being done. And he had a fall in Prashanti, where he was in a lot of pain, yet he came and gave darshan. There was a lot of criticism. There was a time when there was a lot of criticism from the university, Bangalore University, some guys who were questioning Swami. That time, I was in the safe room and I asked Swami, what's all this? And he says, in a bag of rice, there won't be that many stones. You are looking at the stones, how much rice is there in the bag? He says, look at the whole world. There are so many devotees around the world. You are looking at this small bag of rice, you won't care. He was totally indifferent to this criticism and all that, which is, again, inspiring, and I admire him for that. Very inspiring. He is always encouraging us. There was this Hanmukhanand Hall drama going on, Shankaracharya drama. We were sitting in Dharmakshetra, and all the famous playback singers and everybody's coming and performing in front of Swami. So we are all sitting nervous. Oh my God. In front of these guys, we have to do Shanmukhanand whole drama, and we know we have written the script, we have acted everything. What is the chance of us listening? So Swami, after they left, Swami said, you all are nervous? Don't worry, everything will be fine. Swami is there. And believe it or not, when Shanmukhanand Hall, the drama was over, there was crowds in the aisles, because the auditorium was full. Devotees and crowds in the aisle, people outside on the street. And we know that the drama was okay, we did well, but they were like fascinated. They were just amazed. Wow, what a drama, and it's Sai effect. More than the drama effect, it was Sai effect. So always inspiring us. dedicated to his mission, right? Imagine no holidays, no vacations, just doing his job 88 decades. This is something that inspires me. Selfless service to society. No personal time, all the time looking after what seva he can do. Loving, caring parent. In that picture next to that, there was primary school kids where Swami would tell the warden, hey, what about this kid? And then Swami would tell the warden things that he knew that the warden didn't know, that there was a problem with the health, this, that, and he would tell them, make sure that it's done. I remember in my third BCom, I was ill after the third BCom. Lot of high fever and all that. In East Prashanti Nilayam, where just the first bungalow, first apartment in the outside Swami's Mandir, where the men's side people live, the first apartment there in the ground floor of South Prashanti, Swami got it vacated. I was put there. He sent Kutumrao Garu and the doctor morning, evening to check on me, make sure and report back to him how I was doing. one bloke, one ordinary guy. Why should Swami do that, right? And then, of course, when my education, the joke about BCom, after I finished BCom, I didn't decide what I was going to do. So Swami called me in the interview room one day and said, hey Mayur, now we don't have MCom in our university, so you do MCom in Bangalore University. And what he did was, when I was in the interview room, he grabbed out of the air like this, and he took out 100 rupee bill. This one. Just like that, no waving the hand, nothing. Just grabbed, 100 rupee bill came out, and he said, go pay your fees. So I took that, put it in my pocket, and took another 100 bill and paid. And that one was created in July of 2081. We still have it. And of course, wonderful storyteller. He is absolutely transforming power of his love. This was what I was a year before I joined Swami's college. And a year later. And this, for me, I keep reminding, you got lucky, buddy, otherwise I don't know where you would have gone had you been on that part of the road, right? But more than that, I remembered an incident when, at the end of my first year, I finished the first year BCom, and Swami every May would go to Dharmakshetra for the inauguration in Mumbai. This time around, few of us from Mumbai decided to follow Swami. So when we reached there, Swami had already arrived in the previous flight and we had come later. I had decided I'm not going to go back to my parents' place unless and until I first have Swami's darshan and blessings. So we waited for an hour, 2 hours. We didn't get a chance to meet Swami. Then Jogarao Garu came down, so we told him, please tell Swami, so he told. And Swami called us up. As I was going up the walkway, driveway, I was ahead of the group. As I reached Swami, Swami said, hey Mayur, idhar aao. And he said, tumhara wo girlfriend hai na? The one that I had just before I joined Swami's college. He mentioned my name and he says, usko nahi milna, don't meet her, be careful. I was shocked because I had never mentioned it to Swami. And here I'm an open book, he knows everything. So I said, yes Swami. That home when I went at night, all the correspondence, all the other stuff, the photographs together, everything, I ripped it all up, chucked it. When everybody was sleeping. The next morning, Swami was giving darshan in Dharmakshetra, and there was no chance to meet Swami. There was full, lots and lots of crowds. Moment the aarti was over, suddenly Sevadal came running and said, who's Mayur, who's Mayur? So I said, me. So Swami's calling, go up. So I ran up to Dharmakshetra, and there's Sathya, there's one beautiful hall, and in behind that hall there is an interview room. So I go inside and Swami calls me inside and says, I'm very happy with you. I'm so happy with you. Right? So you listen to Swami, and then he touched me on the forehead, and for 3 days I was gone. Like, not unconscious, but just a fantastic, blissful, beautiful feeling. It just lasted, and for some reason I remember I couldn't take my finger off my forehead. I just wanted to hold and stop, and I didn't feel like talking to anybody. I was avoiding company, and it was a very beautiful, beautiful experience. And so that was a kind of a turning moment. Of course, after that there was a huge 1979 summer course. And in that summer course we had Dr. Goldstein, who was the president. His father was there, Kasturi Garu was there, and another devotee from Pune, Mr. Pocha. Swami assigned us to look after those 3 devotees. And it was amazing because we had to run from the hostel back and forth, take them to the summer courses. And at one point in time, I was rushing back and forth. I was on a bike. And I was going from the college to the hostel, and Swami's car is right behind me, I don't know. And I'm pedaling away. And Swami calls me and says, "Hey, why bike?" Because no, not to be roaming around the streets. But Swami, devotees decide, looking after them. I know, I understand. So those are the few nice reactions. He knows my past, present, future as a true friend. I was sitting in the mandir, the Prashantliya mandir, and Dr. Kumar is not here, but he knows that all the bhajan boys have fixed places. The tabla wala sits exactly there, other person sits. And seniors, I had my spot. And my spot was behind the pujari. Padmanabhan Shastri used to do the arti. I would sit behind. So when Swami sits on the chair, he has a quick mental attendance of the guys. Who's come for bhajan, who's not come for bhajan. By seeing us. So I was sitting there one day, and then this was close to my finishing PhD. He came into the mandir, and from far away, you know how 5-10 minutes before the flute starts, before the bhajan, and the ladies are sitting and we students are sitting on this side. And so Swami calls from the door, "Hey Mayur, Pendli Chestava, are you going to get married?" I'm a confirmed bachelor, no idea. So Padmanabhan Shastri, who's a very tall guy, I hide behind him, so that the line of sight between Swami and me is not there. Swami jokes and he says, he's going to marry an Anandpur student. And he just says that and he goes away. I don't know anything, but I did land up marrying an Anandpur student. And later on, when we got married, Anuradha or Anu, she had her collection of photographs. And then she asked one of her Anandpur teachers to give a video of some memory of Swami's visit. It happened to be the video of the 1986 visit where Swami took us to Anandpur College. And we are both watching where I'm sitting in the front row with my head down. She's on the stage playing dholak. Not only that, there's a procession that Swami is going. I'm on this side of that, the procession, and she's on the other side. So, he knows everything. I mean, how can you not be fascinated by somebody who knows you better than you know yourself? Teaching profound truths in a very simple way. Swami, that makes it very simple, not very complicated. So he said, the soul is like, the human soul is like the air in a balloon. The air in the balloon thinks it's different from the air outside. You pop the balloon, the air and the outside, inside the balloon mixes with the outside air. There's nothing. It all becomes one. So also, you just drop the body consciousness, the soul inside merges with the soul outside, divine outside. Makes it very, very simple to understand that. Of course, there's another video of this which I've given to Brother Sai Shravan from the 3 sessions. In that he says that there's a course called Physics, Chemistry and Mathematics, PCM, in Bangalore University. Says if you get fantastic marks in physics and you get fantastic marks in chemistry, but mathematics if you failed in the whole thing. Because that group you failed. Similarly, you may be as a devotee doing a lot of seva, you may be singing lots of bhajans, but if your thoughts are out, fail, he said. So that's the way he puts cheerful and fun-loving. Every time, Swami himself is here, but many of our students, when we listen to some discourses, we want to become suddenly very spiritual. So we walk with a frown, we are not looking at anybody, we are all, Swami look at us and say, "Hey, castor oil face, why do you put the castor oil face?" I mean, the one sure indicator that you are growing spiritually is that you are cheerful, because you are in tune with God. And that's the most cheerful and happy thing. Very patient. The reason being that whoever, we are parents and our children have tested us, our patience. Can you imagine when Swami is like a loving mother of 1,000 kids and all of them have their own idiosyncrasies? Very, very patient, and he goes on. One thing is that if one batch of students, they don't come up to the expectation, he doesn't give up. He's going, there's another batch coming and he starts all over again. And this is something that is very, very dedicated and sure shot that if not this batch, somebody else. He goes on consistently, being patiently, giving out the best. Down to earth, simple. because so much human resources, financial resources, political connections, so much power, yet his quarters were very, very simple. You know, in Prashantiyam, the interview room is there. Above the interview room, there's one more room, which is exactly like the interview room, where he would sit and read letters. But if you go on the side, one small window is there, like this half window. That's his bedroom. And that bedroom has got one bed and one cupboard, and one table to write. In that, if he had to do exercises, because Swami eats and he has to walk, he can't walk outside. There was a long corridor and a storeroom with all blankets and everything. He used to walk between those racks, because we used to stand there and we could see his hair going by. That darshan was what was very precious for us. So, simple living, magnetic personality. I mean, wherever we go, we would feel like being next to him. You know, he's just attracting. We had a very systematic and disciplined way, white and white, 3 rows, starting from the hostel. Moment you come to the portico and you see Swami standing there, all hell breaks loose. All of us are sprinting like crazy, just going there, and sometimes some devotees, they're going to knock Swami down. That's literally that, because imagine a herd of guys running to Swami and sitting down. But everybody wants to be close, that magnetic Krishna-like personality. Prolific writer. How much Swami has written, I don't think we can cover it in this birth. Elder Brother was telling me that they are trying to revive the Vahinis as a program of doing study circle globally, where Swami's Vahinis are so many, they're trying to digitize it, make it into e-books, etc., so that centers can pick up that as a thing. That Swami is writing the thing. Strict disciplinarian. Oh. You're at the receiving end of it. Imagine sometimes when he's mad, like he told brother, Bhai ko bolo bahut ego hai. Because as a lecturer I used to sit behind. Previously I used to run after Swami, and then now I'm sitting behind like a lecturer. So it's a bit of an ego trip. So, and then you have to write a letter and say, Swami, I'm sorry, stand in front. In front of everybody, he will ignore you. If you are sitting in the portico, and he will walk away from you, around you. So now you are that out of form guy who nobody wants to sit next to you because Swami won't come there. And it's the cherry on the ice cream is that when you are the lecturer and you go to class and your students are watching you, you are out of form and the students are saying, okay, what are you going to correct me for? But the point was, it always ended nicely. Swami made up love and we learned a lesson. Always introspect, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Swami won't tell you. He will make you introspect. Always encouraging. Perfectionist. Whenever Swami went out to the devotees, he would make sure his hair was perfectly done. And he said, whether you get marks or not, you should not get any remarks. And he says, you know why Swami wears this robe? Not to say I'm a sannyasi, because it covers all the way to the wrist, covers all the way to the neck, all the way down. And occasionally Swami sits on the chair, he would, like a lady, gently cover his feet with the robe. He says, nobody should look at you and get ideas. That's how it should be, very, very dignified. Always looking for a true devotee. I just put that Swami is looking for binoculars outside. I put that because Swami said, everybody says that devotees are looking for God. No, God is looking for a true devotee. That's the most toughest thing to find. Maya Manusha Vesha Liladara, the enormous sacrifice in playing a human role. Because imagine if you are divine, you are in front of people, you can read the thoughts. If I've had incidents where people at work say something without knowing that you are around, something derogatory about you. You can never be the same in front of that person. You will always find that, oh, that guy said this thing about me, I can't be the same. That relationship is not. Here's for Swami, he's told us so much, and yet we do something different, what kind of stuff happening in our heads. Yet he is playing the human role, he's working in such a way that he's bearing with us patiently. Leading by example, my life is my message. Like I said about the pan, he stopped it himself. If I have to correct somebody, I have to not eat my pan myself. Now, if this is the Swami that I admire, he is given so many vahinis and all that, I can't digest all that. I need something condensed. And that condensed for me is this one teaching which says, the prime duty of man between birth and death is to realize his inherent divinity. So whether everybody is born, everybody dies. So in our, they say in the tombstone there is a birth date and a death date. Everybody's got that, but the dash in between, how do we fill that in our life? That's the most important. And this is what Swami exactly means. Second one message is that I am God, you are God. The only difference is that I know I am God, you don't know. This absolutely vibes with me, because here Swami is not trying to hold power. He's giving the power right back to you, saying, yeah, you are God, I'm equally, you can do everything I do. Just get on with it. I love that. On top of that, everybody knows this letter, which says, after long searches here and there in temples and in churches, in earths and heavens, at last you come back, completing the circle from where you started to your own soul, and find that he for whom you have been seeking all over the world, for whom you have been weeping and praying in churches and temples, on whom you have been looking into the mystery of mysteries shrouded in clouds, in the nearest of near is yourself, your reality, asserted and manifested. I love this letter because this is the one that tells me Swami's expectations from us. Sorry, this is a little heavy, but I thought it was important to share. In Puttaparthi, Swami asked me and another few students to clean his upstairs storeroom. So I found the pot which Swami did with Vibhuti Abhishekam, with Shirdi Baba statue. Another thing I found is Swami's passport, when he used it when he went to Africa. And then a whole bunch of letterheads, which Swami used over the years, like from the time when Penukonda 33 was the address. Phone number 33, Penukonda district. So that was Prashantiniam address. So those different letterheads like this one, I got. So I took all of that and went down to Swami and gave it. Swami took the passport. And then all these letterheads, he said, you know what, cut the top part and give the blank pages to the research scholars. So I took it and then I found in the middle this letter, which was a letter written by Swami for a news article, for a Sanatan Sathya something, but never published. The folded letter is still with me in Vancouver. And for me, it was something that, it's a message. How did I land up? Nothing happens by chance. I still have it, and it's because Swami wanted that message for me. And while I won't read the whole thing, I will share the letter with Brother Sai Sravan, you can cover in a study circle. What Swami is trying to say is that worship of all pervasive Sai Ram is to experience the physical body outside and the astral body inside. Bodily illusion belongs to man, Nara, and Atmic illusion belongs to God, Narayana. So if you continue to be enveloped in bodily illusions and earthly attachments of this world, when do you experience the Atmic illusion and see the cosmic form of God? I think this is where we have to, what I was saying, that I need to progress spiritually from being attached to Swami's physical form to finding Swami everywhere in that sense. And he winds up with the last sentence saying, so all of you practice experiencing Swami in your own way and reform yourselves with acceptable behavior. That is my wish. So again, for me, that's a wonderful thing. He wrote a letter, a poem about himself, Udayam Udayam, in Telugu. I'm sorry, I don't have an English translation and I can't read. My Telugu in 30 days is still going on. But that letter has, you see, it's got a signature 1/1/1964. Signed Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Again, I will leave this with brother and you can get it translated and share as you like. My life is my message, Swami said, and now we have to make our lives his message. So here are some things that are pointers for me in living his message. Thinking of Sai all the time, emulating Swami, practicing his omnipresence, undertaking some spiritual sadhana, and overcoming spiritual obstacles. And please bear with me, I'll explain to you. Thinking of Sai all the time. So this portico, everybody knows, that small window, round window on the right hand side. One day I was, Swami comes down in the afternoon, and as he's passing from the inside of the window, he's quite close. So that window is prime real estate. In the sense that all of us stand there and our faces are one next to each other. One guy here, because if Swami is passing by, his face is right there. So that was the thing. And I was standing one day there and Swami came and said, hey Mayur, do you love me? Do you love Swami? He said. I said, yes Swami. He said, Sab jhoot raha. If you really love Swami, you are lost in loving. You don't realize it. If the moment you're conscious that you're loving, that means it's not love. And that is the kind of high level of expectation that he says that of a devotee's true devotion is that. Of course, again here in this place he told me, Mayur, you know all the wonderful chances I'm giving you, like doing path seva, taking you for trips, etc. I want you to sit down quietly somewhere and ruminate over them, all think again and again of them, relive them. And he says, if you do that, merge ho sakta hai, merge ho sakta hai. And that was a fascinating, you can merge into Swami, wow, that's a big expectation. Clearly, I'm still here. That means nowhere near that, but that was a great teaching that I learned from Swami. And mind you, in the subsequent years, when I moved to California for 5 years, 95 to 99, that time, since I was going to be abroad, settled, my parents sent all my albums, my photographs, my mementos, saying, now you keep them, I don't want to keep them. So all the Sai centers, when they called, I had no material, never was a speaker, so I pulled out all these photographs. And as I went through these photographs, I realized that stuff that Swami had told me then, 20-25 years ago, it suddenly now dawned on me. And to put an analogy to that is, you know, when the first convocation that we had in Prashantilyam in Purnachandra Auditorium, there was a long table, big tall chairs here, and in the front there was first convocation, second convocation. There's a big light, you know. So Swami would start with saying, I declare the convocation open, and you would press a light. And when the presses the light, the light comes on. Unfortunately, it would blink a few times. So the registrar got mad with the professor who set it up. He says, what is this? It should come on. And what he said was, sir, that is why it is called a tube light. Because it goes blink, blink and blink. It doesn't come on straight. That's why it's a tube light. And I realized how beautifully that applies to me. Because Swami told something 20 years ago, tube light in effect. It didn't blink at that time. Now after I'm seeing the pictures when I'm away, I'm getting to know the meaning for that. Besides that, it was like reliving those memories, and that same beautiful, good feeling that we are feeling now, that came back. This picture is another example of what Swami said. When we were sitting in the portico, he came and said, you know, you are like frogs on the lotus leaf. He's telling all the students. So usually Swami praises us, now he's calling us frogs. So I was wondering what was wrong, and he said, you are so close to Swami, and you don't realize the beauty of the chants that you're getting. Whereas I'm always thinking of the devotees outside there. Some of those devotees, when they come, they don't even get anything from me. They maybe get a letter, a few of them get an interview. But the moment I step out like this from the interview room and tears come down their eyes, I'm only thinking of them. I'm not thinking of you guys at all, even though you're close. So that bhavam that a devotee feels is very, very crucial for Swami. By the way, I'm sitting in the right-hand picture on the left. I've got a vibhuti mark. I'm wearing glasses. Those glasses, when I had the reading glasses, I brought them and I gave it to Swami. Swami wore them. And then he said, now you wear them. So he gave them back. So those are the glasses, I still have them. Small interactions with Swami. Emulating Swami. Now because of all those points that I shared with you, saying that, oh, I admire Swami for all of those reasons, the best way, if you have a celebrity that you always admire the celebrity, here Swami is my celebrity, and I wanted to emulate him, and then suddenly I opened a book. You know how you want a message from Swami, you open a book? This quotation came. The way in which an avatar has to be used for one's liberation and uplift is watch his every step, observe his actions and activities, follow the guiding principle of which his life is an elaboration, mark his love, his compassion and his wisdom, try to bring them into your own life. Though the copyright of these qualities are with Swami, we get the right to copy him when we commit ourselves to the path of spirituality. Practicing in omnipresence. There is one of the videos in prayer sessions where Swami says, don't behave one thing in front of Swami and something outside. You have to practice outside what you want to behave in front of Swami. You can't, so that's why one thing that I kept for myself is, how do I practice his omnipresence now that physically he is not there? So these are some of the things that I remind myself. Do I feel His presence in me, around me? Raising the picture to God, not reducing God to a picture. And this is something very profound that Swami said, that we treat Swami, we bow down to the picture like that before a talk and thing. So we are actually considering this as divine. But the next moment we turn around and we treat somebody badly. Therefore we have reduced God to a picture. Whereas the real thing is that not only is this picture God, the table, the mic, everything, people around, everything is God. Raise everything up to the God level. Don't reduce God down to a picture or a robot. This is something that I keep reminding them. Are Swami's teachings as important to me as was his physical presence? Am I being emotional or devotional? When Swami used to call us a few devotees who were all frantic, he said, hey, hysteria, hysteria. I used to call him hysteria still. Do I have faith in His invisible protection around me and my family? Having daily frequent conversations with Him. I've had a few incidents in Vrindavan where I'm standing in front of the window for darshan, and I tell Swami, I have to go to class is starting 5 minutes, please give darshan. And mentally I'm talking, and Swami comes to the window, gives darshan, So I'm convinced that whatever thoughts are going in my head, if I can talk to Swami, he's listening. So even now, wherever I'm going, Swami, what a beautiful sunset. Swami, what a beautiful car. Everything, just talking to Swami in your own mind, that helps me to connect with him on a day-to-day basis. Try to excel in my job as an offering to him. Do it so well that I'm watching Swami is watching me. I'm doing this not for the boss, I'm doing it for Swami. Offering the day at the lotus feet. Swami had said, one devotee asked that Swami, whole day I'm so busy I can't remember. He said, don't worry. At the end of the day, say, Saishwara, your work is transformed into worship. Using nature to feel His omnipresence. And I haven't brought the poems, but there are two poems which Swami has given. One is, how do you know you are near me? And another one is, how do you know I am near you? And in that one of them he says, when the gentle breeze caresses your forehead, remember me, I am thinking of you. I am caressing you, that way. So every small part in nature, if you see, you connect and you start thinking, oh, this is Swami blessing me. Associating mundane things in life with Swami, like, oh, what a beautiful flower, or behaving in a way that truly represents a Sai devotee, and a daily checkup from the neck up, meaning introspection. Every night, Swami said, when you sleep at night, think, did I do right, did I wrong? Will Swami be happy, will Swami not be happy with every action? So that introspection is something that educate is all about, but also that we have to practice on a day-to-day basis. Practicing some spiritual sadhana. So long back when I joined the first time the college, I was reading lots of books, and one of the books was on Kundalini Shakti. And also Swami had given a discourse on Jyoti meditation. Everybody knows the Jyoti meditation, take it from different parts. So what I had done was that our main hostel, and there was another hostel that was half constructed, and it was empty rooms. So in one of the empty rooms, I sat down and I put a candle, and we have those hard-bound notebooks. I tore a page, the cover, and put it in a V shape, and then put the candle in the middle. And I was meditating, because without that the candle flickers, so you can't concentrate. So to make a steady flame, you have to put those books. So I kept meditating and waiting for a spiritual experience to happen. So after many weeks, one day I was meditating, and then suddenly I saw the bright light becoming brighter, and it became hotter also. And then suddenly I opened my eyes and found the cardboard, the candle was all hot. Instead of the Kundalini going up, it crashed down. A few weeks later, so I was standing in the portico and Swami came out like this. And Swami called us, hey Mayur, Niku knack ledula, nu crack aiputa. You don't have any knack, you're going to become a crack. So, not a pleasant thing where in front of 300 students you're being called a crack. But then he very nicely explained that there's no point sitting in front of a candle and staring at it. You'll become a nervous wreck. You should follow the eightfold path of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, where he said Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. And as you progress through this, it will be a stable foundation. And he gave a beautiful discourse of that. So some sadhana in our life is extremely important. One more thing thing I remember that somebody taught me the mantra Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And I got this fascination, I don't know, in my mind saying, I want to do it for 40 days. So I did it for 40 days, several malas, hundreds of malas. And I was sitting on the last day in the portico doing the Gam Ganapataye mala, and suddenly somebody tapped and bhajans were already going on. Swami was in the interview room, and the student said, Swami's calling me. So I went inside, and Swami had a whole bunch of people sitting. He made all of them move aside, made me sit at his feet and said, Paad Seva karo. So I was pressing throughout the bhajan, there was Paad Seva. And these small affirmations that anything sincerely done to please him, to get his attention, he would respond even physically. Controlling desires, sorry, these are the three obstacles. Controlling desires, no, did I miss? No, I didn't miss. Controlling desires, minding the mind, and cutting the ego. So controlling desires was a unique way that Swami taught me. Accepting gifts from parents. When I first joined the hostel, parents were visiting, and because they were missing me, they would always, like any parent, bring gifts. So first time they gave me a flask, and they said, at night when you are before sleeping, you can have some hot drink. A few days later, Swami gave me a flask. Then parents had just come back from US, so they gave me a sleeping bag. Swami gave me a sleeping bag a few days later. They gave me this flashlight with the tube light and the blinkers and all that. A few days later, Swami gave me a flashlight, a lamp. The final thing was when during my dad's 60th birthday being celebrated by Swami in the interview room, he was just returning from the Sairam shed, and he says, Mayur, take, and he tossed a pen, because my dad had given me an identical pen with a watch in it. This one. They gave me my dad had given me a pen, and now Swami is giving that pen again. So every time I showed it to my father, he said, there's some pattern here, you're not getting it, but everything I give you, exactly Swami is giving you that, therefore Swami is expecting you to depend on him, not on him. That was their message saying, I'm not going to give you anything more. Of course, these are other things, desire. Somebody asked Swami, I want this. Swami said, sure. But if you ask, it is a desire. If I give, it's a boon. So, we are always constantly giving letters to Swami, asking stuff. Just surrender. We are on a roller coaster. He's in charge. He's got the remote control of our lives. And then Swami said, I want Swami. All the time we used to say, student, I want Swami. I is ego, want is desire, remove both, Swami is with you. And another interview, he said, have you, Swamiji ko tan man dhan arpan kiya? Did you give your body, mind and senses, offer it to Bhagwan? And we would say, yes. He says, no. Your body, too much diseases. Your mind, mad monkey. Not mad monkey, drunken monkey. Not drunken monkey, 1,000 drunken monkeys. That's not in your control, how can you give to Swami? So, and then he said, senses also are not in control, therefore nothing is in your control what you can offer. The only thing that you can offer is your love, and that also I gave to you long back before time. I just want it back. He even went to say, I'm ready to give my blood for it. The car experience. Yes, so in the portico that I showed you, one day I was standing and Swami said, hey, come and sit in the car. So it was a blue Fiat. Mr. Paliwal was driving. The driver was in front. I was sitting in the front passenger seat. Swami was diagonally behind from me, and the warden was sitting behind. So the car left Vrindavan and went into the villages. And as it was going, out of respect, I turned around and looked at Swami. And Swami is staring at me like this, not blinking, just staring. I got unnerved because no conversation, nothing, quiet, but Swami is staring at you. So I made small talk. I said, Swami, at night when I sleep, I miss you, I don't get sleep. Swami said, Jhoot ra, you not only sleep well, you snore. So my fib didn't work. So immediately I switched the conversation to save face and I said, Swami, how to control the mind? And then Swami said, the easiest thing in the world is to control the mind. The most difficult thing in the world is not to control the mind. I was lost. I said, I know the opposite. And so he said, let me explain. And he had his handkerchief in his hand. And he said, see this? All 5 fingers have to hold this handkerchief. So difficult. It has to make an effort. Let it go. Nothing to control. He says the handkerchief is what? It's a bundle of threads. Each thread is a thought. right? No thoughts, no handkerchief, nothing to control. So that was a very nice explanation. It took me 3 decades to understand that now, after reading some book I shared with the kids here. But that was a big, big eye-opener for me about controlling the mind. Eliminate impure material TV experience in the portico. So I had just finished my, I had just joined PhD in 1984, and Swami had sent me to Mumbai because I was doing some research in merchant banking, and all the research material was in Mumbai. Just while I was there, our Prime Minister got assassinated, Indira Gandhi, that time. So there was chaos and I rushed back. But I did see the news. So when I landed in the portico, the first thing Swami comes up to me and says, "Hey, did you watch TV?" And I said, "Yes, Swami." He says, "No, your mad monkey mind, it will not good, you should not touch TV." Believe it or not, he didn't send me out for research again. He brought all the material, got it arranged and brought it to Prashant Nilayam, but I was not allowed to go outside. So that careful he is about this part. And of course, he gave an example of the mind control the busy way. He says, most of the students don't know how to control mind. He says, let me tell you a story. He says, a soldier was sitting under a tree just after joining, and he was feeling sad, depressed. So his sergeant saw him and says, dig a hole 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet. So he went down digging. And after he had finished, he said, fill it up. So the whole day went in digging and filling. At the end of it, the sergeant asked, are you still missing your family? He says, no, I have no time. So that's exactly what the point is. All of you should be so busy whole day that there's no time for the mind to go here and there. And that's the keeping the mind in check the busy way. And of course, Swami said, Hamsa Gayatri is a very powerful tool. We always say Gayatri Japa, but there is Hamsa Gayatri, which is so hum. You breathe in, you say so, you breathe out, say hum. And this Hamsa Gayatri is basically what he gave example is that, you know those monkey performers on the streets, they have a monkey and then they want to keep the guy busy. He says, put a stick and they keep the stick and tell the monkey keep going up and down. So the mind is like a mad monkey, make it go up and down by saying, so hum, that way. And of course, the mother and child way, he says, the moment your mind is wandering, if you chase it, it's going to run farther away thinking that you're following. Moment the mother turns around and ignores it, the child comes running back, so also the mind also will come running right back. Cutting the ego the Sai way. This is another example where during our Shankaracharya drama, he would encourage us, he would want to see the different scenes during the rehearsals. But then suddenly in the middle, if it's going to head, he said, you know what, this Mayur, he's overacting. I think he needs to cut down a little bit. You know? And so in front of us, if the moment is slightly inflating, he will deflate it. You know? This is another time when it was around 60th birthday. Swami adopted 60 villages around Puttaparthi, and we were going to different villages. At that time, a year before, Swami had said, hey Mayur, what do you want? In the interview I said, Swami, I want you. So he said, I will see. And then like throwing a gauntlet. 1.5 years, he didn't speak to me. He would ignore, and really tough time emotionally, but there was an introspection journey. But the best thing is that when he is going out to the villages, he sends word, says, let Mayur walk next to me. So you're not speaking at the same time, rubbing it in, like you stand next to me and talk. This was another incident where there was a sports day, and in front of the whole auditorium of, I was quite actively involved in comparing shows, and Sundarayar and myself, both of us were very active in that and organizing these social events. And maybe Swami felt that was going to my head. So he enacts this drama, whereby what happened was the sports team lecturer was missing. So he said, Mayur, he brought all these gifts from somewhere and said, these are the prizes. And then when I had organized everything nicely, of course things go wrong, suddenly somebody comes. And he's constantly in front of everybody saying, no, not this, not this. So basically what has happened is that it made me look like I was the guy who messed up. But it is a ego cutting exercise. So Swami gave this beautiful prescription on how to cut our ego. He said in this whole universe, there is only the Milky Way. In the whole Milky Way, there is only one solar system. In that small solar system, Earth is only one of the planets. In that one Earth, we have country India, which is just one country. In India, Andhra Pradesh is one small state. In Andhra Pradesh, there is only one small Puttaparthi. In Puttaparthi, there are thousands of people and you are just one guy. What's there in you to be proud? So just use that exercise to... This was the thing. Finally, 2011, I happened to just feel like going to Prashantliam, and when we went there, sitting as a nobody, and then suddenly there was this Purna Chandra session organized, and I was asked last minute to speak extempo, and Swami was there, and he didn't speak to me, he kept aloof, and the only interaction was that after the speech, he took one vibhuti, he had, in his lap he had vibhuti packets, he took one vibhuti packet in the middle of his two fingers and he passed it like this. And that was the last interaction. I did not dream that I would get that chance as the last event in front of Swami by the students to speak. But it is something that I will cherish for the rest of my memories. And now it's a question of how do I again connect with him now through the people, to see him everywhere at all times, but also prepare for that ultimate journey at the end. I have this picture to share. It's like saying Swami is waiting at the door for us, for me, and I got to prepare, be ready to meet him. I have a video that I want to show, which is with which I will end, and it's called Dear Soul. It's a nice song somebody wrote, but the lyrics are very nice. And I want you to listen to the lyrics and imagine Swami's lotus feet as the destination for all of us. Thank you. Sai Ram.
Dear soul, I have waited so long. Dear soul, you have journeyed such a long time. Welcome back, dear soul. The mountains you climbed on your way have made you the saint of today. The ignorance and pain have all gone. All heaven rejoices. Paradise awaits you, dear soul. The sinner of yesterday, now the saint of today. Behold, divinity is born once again. Dear soul, dear soul, I have waited so long. Dear soul, you have journeyed such a long time. Welcome back, dear soul. The countless forms is boundless. My joy increases in you this day. Try and realize the price I give you, though no one will ever know my pain. The triumph of God ascends to me this day. Dear soul, dear soul, I have waited so long. Dear soul, you have journeyed such a long time. Welcome back, dear soul. Welcome home, dear soul.
Is everyone awake? Sairam, everyone.
Sir,
On behalf of the Sathya Sai centers of South Bethesda, Loudoun and Fairfax, it is my honor and pleasure to thank Brother Mayur Pandya for spending a wonderful Saturday with us, all the way from Vancouver. Thank you so much. Thank you, Swami, for arranging this beautiful day, pleasant day, with the situation. All the day went so well without any issues. One thing I took from the video, the first video that you showed us, brother, was that I was actually watching the Mridangam play, Tadyavartanam, more than what Swami was trying to say. But I think, thank you for showing that video and other lessons that you took and allow us to live this day vicariously through you. That 1989 trip in Kodaikanal was one of the highlights of my life as well. Thank you for showing those pictures. And thanks for all the volunteers and sevadals who tirelessly worked in the back without even listening to his talk. Hopefully we have recorded it, and hopefully Brother Pandya will give us permission to share that. Without further ado, a few things that at least I would like for us to take away is, let's use these lessons that Brother Pandya shared with us from today. Let's take one sadhana and let's walk out and let's start practicing that sadhana and offer it as a love, as our token of love to Swami. With that said, I would like Brother Ranjish, the service coordinator of Loudoun Center, to offer a token of our love to Brother Pandya. If both of you could come to the stage, please. A few quick announcements before we start the ending budgets. For the South Bethesda Center,